Peace, 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 family. We back. Got the crew back. Today, we come to talk to the family. Who we got up there? We got BX Express. We got Techie Brown, Tony Davis. Jeremy has awakened as always. We got Fun Girl 91, Jamal Dula, Richard Liscombe, Kevin Kane. Thanks for everybody, coming in. Patient is a virtue, just living, always voice of reason for my people. Today we're going to talk about this. Well, we covered the coronavirus and we talked about the different things with coronavirus. Brother Marvin has another stream coming up. Water Sniper, what's cracking, brother? Water Sniper, why you not a mod? I told you, yeah, he should have been a mod. Hold on, let me put these mods on.
If you want, you can make my primary channel a mod too, George, the Marvin Health and Arts.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I just did it. Yeah, we're gonna. Where the hell is Richie at? Yeah, we're gonna. Marvin has a stream coming sometime this week where he's gonna break down the coronavirus and the different strands. Where they're talking about these new strands that's coming out. We've been running this series where we first talked about the coronavirus. We talked about allegedly where it came from. We talked about different viruses. We've been doing this for the last month or so. We talked about biotech companies that's invested now in CRISPR. We actually talked about CRISPR that's behind the scenes. Oh shit. Hold on, let me fix that. What the hell? And now making a mod. I freaking hit you, Marvin, instead of making you a moderator. All right, yeah, it's a mod now. Yeah, we talked about, now you guys know that I've done videos in the past about transhumanism, and I've done videos about posthumanism. I've done videos about gene editing in the past and CRISPR. But with all this stuff that's going on now, I knew that it was time to revisit those streams that I did 2 years ago and a year and a half ago, because I knew that everything that we talked about 2 years ago, the public wasn't really ready for it. So it didn't get the attention. It didn't garner the attention that it should have gotten. But now, while everybody's afraid, people are dying. People are crying, people are starving, they're solely dependent upon the government. They don't understand what's going on. And when I was trying to tell people, I got called pseudo. Me and Richie got, they made videos about us, told us we was crazy, governmental conspiracies, and all the stuff that we was told. We was made, hold on a second. Yeah. They tried to make us out as if we didn't know what we was talking about. So today I want to get back into this transhumanism. I want to get back into this nanotechnology and what they're pushing. See, what they have to do, guys, is they have to create fear inside your mind. So some of your family members are going to have to die. I mean, as harsh as it sounds, cousins, parents, children. They want to have to invoke this fear in you so much that when they push this CRISPR gene editing, you be the first one in line. So now what they're doing is creating a narrative where black people are the first, or black people are the most, ones are basically the most, I'm trying to find the right word. Black people can get it the fastest. Black people are dying the fastest. Well, when we live in inner cities, concrete jungles, where we live in close proximity to each other. Some of us live in cities where the projects and row houses and stuff like that. It's hard for us to practice social distancing because we live in these ghettos. So if they put the narrative that if you're not practicing social distancing, you're more susceptible to get it. So New York, a place like New York, would be ground zero because you got 10 million people stacked on top of each other. Mainly black, and you got a lot of black and brown living in those concrete jungles. So then we have to ask ourselves certain questions. Whenever it comes to health, black people is always at the worst health based off of these white charts and these hospital records. We're always the worst. So why, when the coronavirus come out, why wouldn't we be at the bottom? So now they're using the corrupt news network to formulate this idea or download this idea into your mind and your subconscious mind that black people are dying, black people are dying. Okay, at an alarming rate, more than anybody else, because they want to keep you in fear. They want to keep you in anxiety. When you see a coworker die or a family member die, you're afraid. You're crying. You don't know what to do. They took away your job. You don't know how you're going to pay bills. They do all these things. So now, behind closed doors, what they're not telling you is they're pushing CRISPR. They're working on the blind people with this CRISPR. They're doing all these different things that for a long time it was actually illegal. The stem cell research and all these different things was illegal. Now it's coming in through the back door, but the way they bring it in through the back door is to create chaos right in front of you. But nobody's asking the right questions. Nobody's having the right arguments. How come we're not discussing nanotechnology? How come we're not talking about transhumanism? How come we're not talking about gene editing and CRISPR and designer babies? Why not? Why isn't this the conversation that we're taking to the government, asking them what are they doing behind our backs? Why are we going into a 6 room house, a 6 bedroom house, but we only go in 2 rooms? We're not discovering what's in the other 4 rooms. Why not? What have we been distracted by for the last 20 years, 15 years? Why we in a 6 bedroom house and we just go into 2 rooms and then try to argue like we know what we're talking about? This is the stuff that I don't understand. I'm trying to you want to say something to him, brother Mark? I'm gonna call Richie and see what's taking so long.
Hey, what it do, peoples out there? Look, I just got finished taking a trip into the garden. Unfortunately, I can't transfer the data as fast as I would like to from my phone, but um, I checked the garden this morning. It's our first time going out there in the spring watching what grew. We got some red kale on deck. I got some dead stinging nettle on deck. If you guys look that up, it's got a nice, like, fluorescent, ultraviolet kind of reddish, pinkish color on top, and it's got some vibrant green colors on the bottom. But we're gonna see what it do with that purple stinging, with that dead purple nettle. It's important to look at the herbs that grow in your own neighborhood or that you grow in your neighborhood, because whatever's happening in your local neighborhood, those plants are growing in the same environment. Meaning, if there's anything attacking them, attacking you in your local environment, plants can't run. You can't. You can say, I'm going to get away. Plants can't. So if a plant dies, that means it could not defend against its environment and properly put together its internal structure to stay alive. But when you see plants that are growing and flourishing in the neighborhoods that you guys are in, then those plants probably have properties that will help you, because that's the communication between you and the environment. If you're not growing anything, then you're not seeding anything to receive anything back. If plants are growing wild on their own, then they're going only off what's happening in the environment to them. When you put your hands on the plants, the oils, the things in your skin will vibrate and interact with the plant. And if you guys read like books like The Secret Teachings of Plants, when you do things like you talk to the plants and things like that, the plants actually grow with a unison to you, but plants have to get certain information from you. So it's got to be, you talk to them, you touch them, you water them, you do things for them, because many tests have been done. They've been done with magnets and they've been done with emotional connections, where they put a plant in 2 different rooms. And if you go in one room and just talk a lot of trash and I hate this, I hate that, I hate the plant, and then you go to the other room and it's a lot of positive stuff. In the room with the positive stuff, the plant lives. In the room with the bad stuff, the plant dies. They've done it many times over. Also, what they did was they took the north and south pole of a magnet and they pointed them in reverse order at 2 plants growing in 2 different cups. And over time, you'll notice that one flourishes a lot and the other one doesn't flourish, but so much. It's bitter. It doesn't have the proper taste and compounds in it. So it's a really big deal when you guys connect with your environment. So as we talk about transhumanism and things like that, always remember what you got in that jar, George.
This here, this is
Look like some turmeric is in there too.
absolutely. This
Yeah.
this is the drink I made when I put on the channel Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
This is what the herbs that's in there is cayenne pepper, turmeric.
Mm-hmm.
I got cayenne pepper, turmeric, I got eucalyptus and peppermint. But I also added some stinging nettles and some raw cinnamon. I'm talking about the cinnamon sticks, the raw hard cinnamon sticks. And I put it all in there, brought it all to a boil. I let it steep for 3 hours. When you talk about strong, see, people think that cayenne pepper is strong. They don't understand cinnamon. When you get the raw cinnamon in its rawest form, cinnamon is powerful.
Very powerful. A lot of these herbs, if you take them by themselves, like a little bit of it, and you just sit it on your tongue and let it work around in the saliva for a little bit, you'll really get some of the properties that come out in it. And some of them actually have a bit of a what we would call a zing or a burn to it. That zing or that burn is a property that's going to assist killing off certain bad substances.
All right, so
What's that one? That one's got some. The other one's got some ginger in it.
Yeah. So okay. So this here, right? So this here with the herbs, right? So we got this and this, right? So we got this is like I said, it's cayenne pepper, turmeric, cinnamon, stinging nettles, eucalyptus, and peppermint, right? Mixed with orange, pineapple, and ginger that was juiced. So this is orange, pineapple, and ginger by itself. This juice. I let my kids drink it. Orange, pineapple, and ginger. I take 1 cup of this and 1 cup of this, and I mix it together to create this concoction. When you talk about strong, I'm talking about. You think Henny get your chest hair perm? Take some herb where you mix with cayenne pepper, turmeric, ginger, and cinnamon together with some peppermint. Mix those concoctions together and drink it.
Yeah, yo, if y'all beginners at this stuff, go slow too, because I kid you not, like I've done a turmeric, ginger, lemon, pineapple kind of mix before. You chug that shit like you a grown man, you gonna have diarrhea. It's too much there's too much in that serving. Like
Yeah.
generally, if the vitamin C content is very high, you're gonna have diarrhea. That's a given. So make sure you guys, if you have a heavy amount of herbs in the mix, don't take any more than a shot. But if you're mixing, like George said, he was blending, he's got the juice blending in with it. That's going to neutralize some of it to help balance it out. But if you guys are taking like just, if it's like cinnamon, cayenne pepper, ginger, turmeric, if you got all that in there, you got to take that as a shot.
Yeah. So, and I'm gonna tell you what happens is too. You drink it, man. I drink it, and at first, when I first drink it for the first 5 minutes, you feel a little lightheaded, but then the energy just goes through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, talking about just unbelievable energy. But the reason why I drink it is, see, and Inky says something before we get off into the stream. Inky says something that really hit me, and I know you was probably watching him when he was live the other day. Inky said, if you start getting symptoms from the coronavirus and you're having bad breathing, he said taking something like turmeric or dandelion root might be bad because it might exacerbate the problem. Because it's going to boost. They say give a boost to your immune system when you need to be coming down. So he was basically explaining was what I was getting from what he was saying to us was this here with the herbs is prevention. So when you out there and those viruses are there, you're using this as a shield to prevent certain things, to constantly keep cleansing your body, because the mucus can't stay in there with this cinnamon. These powerful agents, that cinnamon, and because I meant to say this to you guys. When you take this, you got any type of mucus in you, it come out right away. It come out your nose, come out your throat. It makes you go to the bathroom. It's gonna come up. It's gonna come out you like immediately. The cayenne pepper, and you know what I found out. You know what I found out, Mark?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we
hear you loud.
It sounds like it's a hair dryer in the background.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like some shit's going on. Listen, don't share the screen just yet, Joe. I need to switch over back to my phone because the internet's doing some shit on my laptop. Give me 1 second.
All right, I'll wait for you. All right, so listen, let me ask you, Marvin, because you know what I noticed when I drink this, right? When I drink this, and I wait about 45 minutes, and then I go do cardio. And say if I go to the art museum, steps, right? And I run and I get to sweating real bad. What I've noticed is I'm not just sweating because I got this in there. First of all, because I used to get heartburn real bad. This take the heartburn out quick. But I noticed I got phlegm just be coming out everywhere. After I drink this and then go run, I'm talking about spitting out fluid be coming out my nose. Why is that?
Oh, because if something has a heating action to it, chances are it's going to loosen up. But so here's the thing: when people hear mucus, for those out there who are avid Dr. Sebi people, mucus is a quick way of telling you about something that you're familiar with, right? So really, what it is you have something in your body that secretes mucin. They're called goblet cells. They secrete mucin, and when you drink water, which is why water is important, the mucin can help build your mucous membrane. The mucous membrane is like a sheet of gel. Now imagine y'all are putting on these face masks, right? Now that's made of cotton and dry materials. Imagine if I made that face mask of like a gel, and you know gel is more tightly coupled than something being knitted together. If someone sneezes on that gel, it's going to catch majority of it. That's what your mucous membrane does. When it catches enough of it, you see it turn colors because you got these negative substances coming in your body. They're active. Your body's going to hit it with an acid substance to neutralize it. And then it's going to alkalize it with things like peroxide and alcohol. That's why your mucus will turn yellow or green. So when you spit that out, you're seeing the mucus bound to toxins and deactivated. So when you drink water, it helps loosen it up. When you eat hot substances, it takes it from being like, you know how it is, when things get cold, they solidify. When things get hot, they start to run.
Real quick. So when I drink this, because it's so hot, and I let it get in sit in my system for about 45 minutes, and then I go do like a aerobic activity. I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm talking about it's coming out my nose. It's like balls of it coming out. And I notice when I'm not doing the cardio, I'll drink some of it and it come out. But when I drink this substance, all that shit come out.
Yeah, because you're heating up, right? You know, when you work out, you're inducing a heating environment. So when you heat up, so people who got you ever fall asleep and you got a stuffy nose, and when you lean to one side it goes there, when you lean to the other side it goes there.
Okay.
But as soon as you wake up in the morning and start moving, your nose gets a runny type feeling. You got to blow your nose because your heart rate goes up.
Rich, you got a lot of feedback, Rich.
Oh shit! Sorry, I didn't even realize my mic was up. I'm all banging around the kitchen doing shit while I'm listening to you. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. So what happens is, regardless of what way you do it, when you're laying down, heart rate's not as high. So when you hop up, your heart rate speeds up, which means the amount of friction and heat in your body goes up. So some of the mucus heats up. So now you can start blowing your nose, and sometimes it's dry when you blow your nose. So you're supposed to get water when you wake up to help loosen it up even more. That's why it's best that your water is room temperature, warm, hot, but not scalding. If you make it cold, then your body will take the water, but it chills out the inside of your sinuses, though. Because remember, your eating passageway is connected to your nose.
All right, so I want to say this for because Voice of Reason asked us on my channel that I did before we get off into this. I think it's important that we had this 10-minute conversation. It was definitely necessary because I don't know what some of you guys out there may be allergic to, or what you can take or not take, but a lot of things. Hey Janice, a lot of things that we try to do is prevention. So and Marvin can speak to this too. I take the cinnamon. I have the cinnamon sticks. I go down to the herb store, get the raw cinnamon sticks. It's very powerful. I take I take 2 16 ounce. Well, I take like 2 16 ounces things of water. Hold on, 2 of these, and I pour them into a pot. Right. I take 2 nice teaspoons of the peppermint. I take 2 nice teaspoons of the eucalyptus. 2 nice teaspoons of the nettles. I put what else I say I put in there? A half a teaspoon. All you need is a half a teaspoon of the cayenne pepper. Please don't kill yourself.
I know, right?
Yeah, a half a teaspoon of the cayenne pepper. I put 2 teaspoons of the turmeric in there, and then with the cinnamon, and I bring it to a boil. Then I let it steep for an hour. Then I go and I cut my pineapples up and my oranges and put my ginger in there. So I get a measuring cup. I take 1 cup of the herb. So just say if I got a big jar like this, I take 1 cup of the herbs and 1 cup of the juice, mix it together and pour it in here. Then I take another cup, pour it in another cup of the juice until it's filled up. And then me and my family, We'll drink this probably like this whole thing like in a day and a half. We'll just drink the whole thing, and then I also have this sometimes when I just use the pineapple, the orange, and the ginger. I also blend. I get green apples. I get my sister in here told myself she coming and get some. I take green apples. I take grapes, celery, and kiwi, and I blend that, and I put some either my greens in it, my superfoods, or my sea moss, and I put that in, and I drink those too. So I'm gonna be doing videos. Thanks, brother Rob, for the $10 super chat. I'm gonna be doing videos. I'm gonna be doing videos on probably me and Marvin. We probably get a split screen from our houses. Maybe we'll do a live stream sometime this week where we're putting together different herbs or putting together different drinks and concoctions for what people can do. So y'all ready? Marvin, you want to say something about that? Or y'all ready to get? Oh, shit,
Nah, nothing specific. I'm not like I don't want to fool everybody to believing I'm an herbalist, but I am pretty decent with food and the body. So I know when to stay away from things I don't understand, and I'm only going to talk to you about things that I do understand. Like when it comes to mixing herbs, I have a knowledge of how difficult getting the formulas right can be. Now, in food terminology, if you tell me how to make a juice, if you ask me how do I make a juice or a smoothie, I can help you there. Like I'm pretty good at making different smoothie mixes that can do certain things. But if you ask me like, oh, burdock root, dandelion root, ginkgo, and all that stuff like that, if you just go mixing anything, you might be
yeah,
knocking things out and you might be causing things
get
to kind of
words.
move energy in a negative way in your body, even though it's supposed to move positive. So it's just like fire. If a child tries to cook and they don't know how to cook, they might burn themselves with the fire. But if you know how to use the fire, you can use it to your advantage. So same thing. Like me, if I were doing a quick mix in my house that was antiviral, I would probably try and find. Someone mentioned sea moss in the chat.
Yeah,
As a
that's my
quick
sister.
thing, I would probably find the Conjus crispus version of sea moss, which is the brown moss, and I would take that and mix it with clove because clove is antiviral. So I know I can take a portion of clove, put that in the sea moss, blend that up, add a little water to your likeness as far as how smooth you want it to be, and just spoon that into a smoothie, maybe with some honey or something like that. But you do know what KT makes? His C3 has a bunch of herbs in it, but the C3 stands for Conjus crispus clove. And I knew that before he made it because those were the two things I put together in my own mind. So those two I can work with. What if I wanted to drive my Conjus crispus and clove into a brain virus? Well, I would add ginkgo. Now the problem becomes what ratio of each. See, now that's where herbalists like Dr. Sebi in Layla Africa could teach you a little something. So that's where it gets difficult for me, knowing the ratio and what to, is it an adaptogen? Is it an emollient? Is it expectorant? Will it make you throw up? All those different things. Like you might get the right reaction as far as how it works, but maybe you're bulimic, which I think is the one where you like keep making yourself throw up, but then you use an expectorant. So it's like, a person's situation will determine what you give them. If
So
they
let me
like to eat and throw up, you don't want to give them too many expectorants because you'll make them throw up.
so let
So,
me so let me ask you real quick, because soul of mine just called me. I'm gonna share the screen once soul of mine come in because
mhm.
I can't bring them up if the screen is shared. What for the people that's watching and the people that may see this video? What are some of the things that people can do right now if they're not having any symptoms as far as prevention that's good for their respiratory?
If you have, if it's respiratory, then taking things like, let's say you have blood clotting issues and you're not on medication, then you might want to do things that thin the blood just a little bit. You don't want to go nuts. So garlic, a little bit of ginger, like a ginger garlic paste would be good on your food, depending on what the food is. Those are little blood thinners. So those things will kind of help loosen things up. You want to take things that dilate blood vessels. Water can help you do that. For people who have asthma, water is a really big deal. You need plenty of water. Um, what can you do with the water? I would say if you want to do like, all right, so we're talking about boosting immunity while you guys are chilling. Things that you might have in your house would include rosemary, sage, basil, oregano. You guys can kind of, what you do is you pour some water in a pot, throw the live herbs into the pot, put it on a decent high heat. Like if you got the stove that goes up to number 8, then you could probably put it on 6 or 7. As soon as it has a light boil, turn the heat down and let it do its thing. I'm sorry, I did that backwards. Put the water in the pot, bring the water to a light boil, then turn the heat down, then add the herbs. You're only supposed to add the herbs first and then bring it to a boil if it's a bark or something heavy. Then you want to do it that way. If it's the leaves, you want to wait until the water is up first and then throw the leaves in, let it sit for an hour and do a little low simmer. Then after the simmer's done after an hour or two, you take a filter, you pour the water through it, keep the water and the herbs that have infused into the water, pour the water back in the pot, add more herb. This is the essence of how you create a strong tincture. You have to keep constantly repeating that cycle, and the longer you repeat it, the stronger it gets and the less you need. That is very important. Don't make like a full cup of that and super concentrate it and drink the whole cup. Like you now have to turn that into a tincture. Maybe you're doing a drop or two or a couple of drops. Do your study to determine how you want to do it. Or you could just sit over the pot and breathe in the fragrances. Breathe in those fragrances in. Those fragrances, we call those aromatics. Those aromatics are putting something in your body when you breathe it in. If you breathe gas and breathing gas hurts you, then obviously breathing the herbs are going to help you. The steam is another form of liquid. It's just more gaseous in its form. So when you breathe that in, you're helping yourself out. So breathe though. That's why they say take diffusers, breathe in steams, get a lot of warm liquids, go out in the sun. So anytime you guys are in the sun, getting your vitamin D, your skin's exposed, your feet are on the ground without no socks and no shoes on, you're taking in lukewarm water, hot water, but not scalding. You're taking warm showers. You're not taking a lot of cold things in. You're naturally loosening up bad things and pushing them out. And if your diet is good, your body's going to keep repairing your body with the good stuff, flushing you out with the liquids, and getting rid of the bad stuff. And that's going to open up all the channels in your body. So now you can think faster. You can move faster. If you come in contact with the virus, the response is faster. Therefore, you become one of the asymptomatic guys because your body's fighting and you're not getting symptoms. It goes away and you never know you had it. So when
Yeah,
the doctors test you, you got antibodies in there because your body figured out how to defeat it.
yeah. So let me ask you because Solomon on his way in now. I
Yeah.
know we will end up doing a part 2 to this because this stream is probably kind of long, so I know it's going to be a part 2 to this. But let me
Yeah.
ask you, because what I've noticed was, and I said this to my wife, it seems like to me that most of the people that are dying from this COVID-19 are people that already had issues, people that are heavyweight, overweight. I say heavyweight, overweight, people with diabetes, people with already underlying issues that's once the COVID-19 is added to it, that's taking them out. People with high blood pressure, people that are in advanced aged. That's what I've noticed because even when some of the pictures of the people that I've seen that's locally that died, they wasn't in the best of shape.
That's how it is. That's how they're using the data right now to prop up this whole back. Now they're making this, they're trying to remember in the beginning, we were saying, man, we black. Now, some people went overboard. They said black people don't get it because they weren't seeing us get it. But what it was is our biochemistry holds an advantage depending on where we live. Like go on worldometer.com right now, and you're going to see all the areas of Africa. I think every area of Africa combined, you're going to find less than 5,000 cases total. And remember, the size of Africa, I believe they said can fit every continent into it. That's a lot of people that have less than 5,000 cases across the board. Now, could there be mismatch in the numbers? Yeah, sure, it could be. It could be way more people who got it, but I know in Nigeria the numbers were like I think less than 1,000. South Africa has 1,700, but the whole of USA has over 300,000. Africa got exposed first because they have a direct line into China. So this whole black people, what it is you have melanin, your body has more density in terms of minerals, electrical charge, and different types of bacteria in it from the start. So for that reason, you have a natural defense. The problem is you're taking on the methods of white society being in these different places you're living in. You're eating their foods, you're breathing their air, you're living in the cold, and you're staying away from the sun. So you weaken your genetics faster. So, as a quick example, if bone density has a scale of 1 to 5, because they've been testing white people's bone density, yours might go 1 to 10. So, when they see you with a 4, they say, well, you're close to 5, you're good. But you're supposed to be at a 10, and you went down to 4. Now you're seeing diseases faster and they use it against you on things like life insurance. Oh, you're African American. I noticed the further you get away from the equator, the more prevalent diseases in you. So I see you get diabetes faster, cancer faster, high blood pressure faster. So yeah, we got to charge you a little bit more. So what you think gonna happen if coronavirus come around and you actually have the other risk factors? You got diabetes, you got COPD. You want to tell everybody to shut up when they tell you to stop smoking, stop eating bad. You want to do your thing. So now coronavirus come around, you happy to tell everybody I got compromised immunity. Y'all need to stay the hell away from me. You ready to fight when somebody cough near you?
All right, we gonna get ready to. I was trying to wait on Solomon. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, we can hit it. If y'all guys want, I mean, look, like when this stream done, if y'all got time, I'm pretty sure everybody gonna respond fast enough. So what we can do is if the chat want, y'all can let me know. Like, I'm be doing streams with George usually around this time. But if later on in the day y'all want me to go live and y'all gonna be around, I'll do it. So y'all let me know. So
Yeah.
let's get to what we get into, and I'll let the chat as time goes on. Y'all let me know. Like I think Facebook or all these different social media platforms definitely have message channels. So if I get enough people messaging me and they say do this time, do that time, I'll find a roundabout time and I'll go live just to make sure y'all are there. Because I know it's frustrating if I'm an hour in when you guys jump in.
Yeah, well, yeah, we won't create a stream for this too, though, because I think
we'll probably do it on yours just to get people set.
Yeah, we'll do it, and then we'll bring them. We know we'll talk about it. Malika, this is part one, so you didn't miss anything yet. We actually didn't start. We're going to be starting now. So what I'm gonna do, I got Solomon here now. Now look, Mark, I was sharing the screen perfectly, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the last hour or so, right? Let's see what happened when I share the screen.
See what it do. When we get done, so I'm gonna show you how to defragment that drive. Make sure that ain't it.
I don't even like the way this act. Hold on for a minute. This thing had goofy already. I hit the thing.
What to say, brother Rob? Again, like I'll create a stream where anything attached to this subject, I'll explain to you guys. I have a live stream I did a couple days ago up now where if you guys for this, when there's a viral situation, the first thing everyone needs to understand is the chain of events from the chromosomes, which is that X, Y, XX, whatever it is what you're born with, all the way up to a protein. I show you that in that live stream I created 2 days ago. There's 2 new live streams on my channel on Marvin Health and Arts. If you go to the first one, it's about 2.5 hours because I went a little overboard because more people were asking questions. But it's all in there. I'm explaining to you how to get from the chromosomes all the way to a protein. And when I do a stream with George, I'm gonna shrink that down even more, and I'm gonna do it again because I want y'all to have a base understanding before we get into all the other things. Because if I just start mentioning herbs and things out of nowhere, you have to now take something already in the middle of study and go both ways. You got to figure out the macro and the micro, where if we just start from the groundwork, everything I say after that will make perfect sense. So if that makes sense, that's what we'll do.
All right, so this is what we do, Mark. I guess I can read. I can start off and read this one, and then as we go on, then you get one, and let's go from there. All right. Let me move this out the way. Let's get off into it. But I know it's going to be a part 2 to this because.
So we got 7. So you can do 3 or 4 articles, and then we can go from there. We might even have some extra goodies in there too.
Yeah. All right. Transhumanist agenda. The transhumanist agenda and the future of humanity. And when we for a long time we talked about movies, movies like you guys can throw in some movies too as I'm throwing them in. We talked about movies like Simon Phoenix. What's that? Demolition
Man.
With Simon Phoenix and him being in Russ Stasis, for 75 years and coming out, he's programmed to do karate, speak all these different languages. They augmented his brain. He had nanotechnology all up in him, and he was just the new movie with The Rock and Jason Statham with Idris Elba. Idris Elba was genetically modified and augmented. His body was augmented up where he was like half robot, half human. Now you have Bloodshot. So they're putting this stuff in the movies right now where they're telling you what their agenda is and what they're going to do. So we're going to
have a Cash App. Somebody's asking.
Not yet. Somebody got to show me how to set that up. I don't even know how to set it up.
I'll have it set up for them. If you guys want, if I give you mine, I mean, if y'all trust me that much, I'll give you mine. If you send anything and you tag George's name under it, I'll set his up and I'll send it to him.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put mine in there, and if y'all want to send anything to a Cash App, I'll just transfer it to George. Trust me, I know I'll do it because I do this already for other streams.
that's how we rock over here. Yeah, but they put this stuff in the movies for you to see it. Um, and you while you're being entertained, they're putting truth right in front of your face, but you don't even realize it. That's why I played that song in the beginning. You can't see it, but it's right there in front of you. They already have you augmented up when you go whenever you get a smartphone or a smart TV, and when you run out of space, you got to go get a memory card. That means that you're already being augmented now to not even use your brain. They already have you're using technology outside of yourself for something that you already have downloaded in. And the proof of it is before cell phones, we used to remember everybody's phone number by heart. We used to remember certain things because you exercised your brain, you used it. Now you've taken that away and you're using something outside of it. So this is the transhumanist agenda. So let's get off into it. Who's seen that movie Transcendence that came out a couple years back?
That is the only digital programming movie I didn't see. I did see the one with the girl. What was the one with the girl in it? The other human evolution, John, where the girl turned black in the end. She like every time she did something, she advanced.
Oh, you talking about that was the I know what you're talking about. Damn, what's the name of that movie? That was the movie too.
Yeah, they got some. Yeah.
He turned into black matter at the end.
Yeah, that's the one that I
Yeah.
saw. I didn't see Transcendence yet, but there's a lot of movies. There was also another movie where the guy had a chip, I think, put inside of his head, and
Oh, what? No,
Upgrade. It's called
yeah.
Upgrade.
Well, they do that.
Lucy.
That movie with Justin Timberlake, Tom too, where they had like
The joint on their hand, yeah.
What about
Lucy?
no, that was the joint with they had like this they had to pay for time to live.
Yeah, Time's Up. They had the joint on their wrists.
Oh, it was on their wrist?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about Hitman? What about Hitman?
Hitman's classic. Like
Yeah, he had the chip in the back of his head, on the back of his neck, and that's how he was able to track him.
Yeah, yeah.
They had him going around killing. They had him going around killing world leaders. So they put this stuff in the movies. So let's get off into this. The transhumanist agenda is more than just artificial intelligence, AI, or robots taking over American jobs, or transgender restrooms at public facilities to accommodate an ever-growing push for uniformity amongst the masses. Transhumanism is post-humanism, which post-humanism is way beyond human life. Now you just into straight up robotics. So transhumanism is post-humanism. It is humanism with the optimism taken out, a movement that advocates for the transformation and the advancement of human through technology that runs the gamut from nanotechnology to AI. This paradigm is not limited to gadgets in medicine, but also molds social, economic, cultural, institutional design, language, and physique. So when we hear language, when we hear economic, cultural, institutional design, language, and physique, they're talking about altering your body, altering the economic and social class by dropping the genders now, dropping this race thing. Everybody mix, everybody become one. There's no more cultures now because the black, white, Asian, black, and everybody get together and create a baby. Though your culture staying to yourself dies off. This is the advent of transhumanism happening right now, right in front of you. That's why they're promoting this, because they're getting away from the cultural, institutional design of what we've been accustomed to. They're dying it off. So now if you had that Indian father that didn't want his daughter to marry nobody but an Indian, but she go marry an African American or a Chinese man, and that a child is born and create a family, those cultures are beginning to be destroyed. But most people not paying attention to what's going on and what they're allowing because you don't understand the agenda that's at hand. To be clear, transhumanism is a manufactured endpoint to human evolution, where our bodies will be augmented and sterilized in utero, where divinity is exercised out of humanity. Look at this. Where divinity is exercised out of humanity, and humanity has outgrown its usefulness. Now, why are they saying this? Why has humanity outgrown its usefulness? Because if I augment you to the point where this machine or robotics that's inside of you now is operating so-called better than your human body, then what's the point of having so-called humanity as we know it? where scientists are gods to be worshipped, where politicians are priests who dictate new laws to live by, where the more you separate yourself from your divine nature, your heart self, the more you create something non-human. And this is where we've been trying to tell you guys for the last month or so. Transhumanism began taking shape in the 1930s under social engineers like Edward Bernays, whose book Propaganda revealed the method of mind control for everyone curious enough to pay attention. The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in the democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an inevitable government, which is the true ruling power of our country. I hope y'all listening to this, because this is the funny part where you hear people talk about, oh, these conspiracy stuff. These people are telling you that these are the unseen people that's manipulating the society and manipulating the way you think. We are governed. Our minds are molded. Our tastes formed. Our ideas suggested largely by men we have never heard of. This is a logical result of the way in which our democratic society is organized. Vast numbers of human beings must cooperate in this manner if they are to live together as a smoothly functioning society. In almost every act of our lives, whether in the sphere of politics or business, in our social conduct or our ethical thinking, we are dominated by the relative small numbers of persons who understand the mental process of social patterns of the masses. It is they who pull the wires which control the public mind. This is Edward L. Bay's master proper pack. What is that word, Mark?
Edward L. Bernays, master propagandist. That's a popular name. Edward Bernays is a seriously popular name.
Yeah, so you know who that is. Right. So these are the people that are out here where he's telling you that it's not your president, it's not your senator or your governors or people that you see. It's the people that you don't see behind the scenes that's controlling everything, that's pushing the buttons. And that's why we showed you guys the committee 300, the 300 committee. That's why we showed you the council of 13. That's why we talked about the house, the different houses that these families come up under. All of this stuff that we're doing when we're coming down the line makes sense because we're showing you who's controlling what. So these messages and themes are blatant for everyone to see. If the eyes are open, they represent a form of consent, which individuals must give for the agenda to be carried out. Now I want to stop there for a minute because I want you guys to understand something. They represent a form of consent which individuals must give for the agenda to be carried out. Social engineers have informed us through fiction, non-fiction film, media, the education systems, politics, religion, sports, Hollywood celebrities, and rigged elections throughout the centuries. Now, we just talked about movies. Right now, everybody that's watching me know people that may have died, some family members, some friends. They're watching TV. People are in fear. They can't go to work. So when it says that they represent a form of consent, which individuals must give for the agenda to be carried out. Well, for this transhumanist, CRISPR, nanotechnology to be carried out through the back door, they must put you in fear first. They must put certain things out to the masses to have you call for it. They want change. We're tired of sickness. We're tired of pain. Bring in this new technology. I don't have to worry about my children dying. Well, I want a designer baby. I want CRISPR. I want my children to be smart. No more cystic fibrosis. No more autism. So they need to social engineer you. They need your consent for this stuff to work. So y'all better pay attention to what we're trying to tell y'all right now. Let's move forward. And each time we have consented With our silence and inaction, this implied consent. There is no longer true informed consent, which means both parties can choose to not consent.
That
So,
implied consent is a motherfucker too. Like if you don't say nothing, you're basically okaying it. They make it go in one direction. They don't say it's not okay because you didn't consent. They say it is okay.
well, how they get you to do that is to make you not have no knowledge of it.
Yeah.
So now,
It was women who used to do that with the child support thing. They would give a fake address to the government and you would never get the summons for court, so they would automatically win. And then your child support, one day you just see your check get garnished like hell.
well,
Yeah.
I know Solomon know who this is. Aldous Huxley. Aldous Huxley novel Brave New World informed us of a world of bio and social engineering in black and white. He described a future that he had already begun that had already begun to take shape under his pen. The grass of what the hell is that word? Huxley's feet, nature of current culture. We need to look at one of his personal quotes. There will be in the next generation or so a pharmacological method of making people love their servitude and producing dictatorship without tears. So to speak, producing a kind of painless concentration camp for entire societies so that people will in fact have their liberties taken away from them, but will rather enjoy it because they will be distracted from any desires and rebel by propaganda or brainwashing enhanced by pharmacological methods. And this seems to be the final revolution, Aldous Huxley. And as we go through this, you're going to find out why Aldous Huxley said that. Because now they have a thing where they're going to be mind altering your brain to take away pain. Me and Marvin was just watching this. They have the ability now to go into your brain and take away memory, bad memory, put good memory in your mind. So when he talks about brainwashing through propaganda and painless concentration camps, all you have to do is go watch Demolition Man. When you see the way that they lived in that society and it was normalized in the society, if you cuss, you got to marry. They didn't have sex anymore. They had virtual reality. Everything that we're going to show you guys now, they did it 30 years ago. 30 years ago, they already had the technology. They was already making the movies about it, and we went and was entertained. They did it in Star Wars in the 70s. We didn't even pay any attention to it. Transhuman. Go ahead. Somebody say something.
Yeah, we touched upon this kind of before in the last stream with the Huxley family, how they connected to Darwin. That's the grandsons of Aldous Huxley. It's the grandson of Thomas Huxley, who was referred to as Darwin's bulldog. And he was the one that did most of the debating for the theory of evolution. Darwin did not participate in a lot of debating on the topic. And then this is where you begin this whole science versus religion debate, because they begin to attack the religion theory as to the origins of humans. And it was actually Aldous' brother that coined the term transhumanism, Julian Huxley. He wrote an article entitled Transhumanism, and this is where the term got popularized. And it was pushed by his brother, obviously, which I just read in a lot of his novels. I think it's Brave New World was one of them, where he's talking about a futuristic society where people grown inside of test tubes. Demolition Man is kind of an offshoot of that, like what he was saying. So pretty much what they're trying to do is they're trying to make a transition that would be the final stage of human evolution, is us leaving eventually the body. And that's why they make reference to the body in the theory of evolution as being ape-like. So that is almost primitive, that our consciousness was supersede this body. So now we got to go into a new form of existence, which would be something that we created that is better suited for our level of consciousness, which would be a robotic type of body. So our consciousness is going to shift We are going to leave the physical body and go into the make a transition to the cyborg body, and then eventually, the ultimate goal would be us
Transform.
actually being inside of the robot.
Yeah, Transformers.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what they believe the next phase of human evolution is.
Okay, you right? Okay. Transhumanism is mind control to shift perception to a hybrid society based on what you just said, Suleiman. A perception shifts. The individual is homogenized into an amorphous public persona. Oh man, I'm doing good. The term public health is itself a public relations term created in 1913 when the Rockefeller Institute of Medical Research, we talked about the RIMR, to convince individuals to give up their power to an outside unseen authority. Public health, public health dilutes the power of individuals. An individual is real. So public health is like you going to your public doctors instead of you learning to use the things from the earth, natural herbs. What we just talked about, natural herbs, learning how to cook certain food. You go to the public health place and you lose all concept of that because now you're solely dependent upon these government officials. Public health dilutes the power of individuals. An individual is real. A public is a concept. Therefore, public opinion, public safety, public body, a public perception are myths used to justify the transfer of power to a higher authority. Like I just said, there is no power in the group. As each human is born an individual, there is only individual perception, individual opinion, individual bodies, individual safety. So the minute you go into the public health sector, you lose all your ability to actually do things on your own. That's why most of our women don't know how to grow crops or create natural foods for their husband and their children and everything else. They've lost that ability because we're in the public health sector. She'd rather go to the store, to the fabrication, and get some milk carnation, or what's that milk they put when they have a baby instead of getting the milk that's the natural milk that's inside her body.
I think Enfamil.
Yeah, or she's been eating the GMO foods for so long, her body no longer produces the proper milk for the child. It's public health, public safety. This is the augmentation of the bodies, man. They're already doing, and this is the stuff that we got to pay attention to.
Oh, Similac. They said
Yeah,
Similac.
Similac. Yeah. Once you are convinced to do things for the good of the public, such as implanting tracking chips to keep your job, or merging yourself to a machine to enhance your memory, that will be it. Right now, before they put the chips all in your brain, that will be your smartphone. That will be your smartphone. Or taking nano chip pharmaceutical drugs to ensure compliance. And I'm going to speak to that in a second. Or agreeing to public checkpoints. You lose individual identity. Now let me ask you a question, Marvin. What's the statistic that you may know about erectile dysfunction of men throughout America? Not just black men, but erectile dysfunction throughout the country. It's high, right?
I never even got a statistic on that. I just know it's naturally high because of sperm count been going down.
Yeah, and they said, well, I heard about 60% of men experience some form of erectile dysfunction, right?
Yeah, and the higher the age get, of course, the higher it gets. But the target number is usually it's getting younger, but the target number is usually between 30 and 40.
So one would be intelligent question we'll have to ask is, if you go take a blue pill or a generic pill or a yellow pill and you get rock hard and go destroy your woman, right? But you need a pill to do it. That means that they already have the technology to cure it. They just want you to be dependent upon them to get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't naturally get an erection. I want all the men that's listening to listen to me. You can't naturally, you've lost the ability to naturally maintain an erection. But you go get a pill, and the pill lets you destroy your woman.
Yeah, Christopher Johnson kind of summarized it in terms of it being a blood flow issue. It is a blood flow issue if we lock down how we're going to solve the problem. But
right.
The problem is it's not always blood in and of itself. But yes, the fact that blood can get in there strongly is a very big deal. But what a lot of people don't know is the body will actually use that as the area to be sealed off while toxins are flowing through your body. It's trying to protect that organ because if toxins keep getting in, prostate cancer and all that stuff like that starts to happen when it runs out of room. So it tries to protect that area in some cases first by kind of locking it off from blood flow. So you
So
start having those issues first.
so watch this though, right? Now the reason why I went here for a minute because I know how men are and how we are as we get older with the ED and the bad experience, and then the women, your woman actually experiences, if it experiences it with you, right? And this is an important conversation because it also leads to heart disease and so many other things, right? But watch this, y'all. I'm gonna read this part again. I want y'all to stay. I want y'all to listen to what I'm telling you.
Just so people know, women get it too. Like the same way we rise up in the morning, they stuff supposed to rise up in the morning too. So sometimes your woman's blaming you. She got an issue. That's a blood flow issue too for her. That's why some women, put in work and it's like, damn, girl, like sometimes they have a medical issue too.
Right. So watch this, right? Or taking nano-chipped pharmaceutical drugs to ensure compliance. Now, I want y'all to understand something. What's going to happen, instead of you going to the doctor to get your blue pill, they're going to tell you that we can cure your erectile dysfunction with nanotechnology. And you're going to let them inject you with nanotechnology so you can get an erection. It's going to happen. Most of you brothers, because most men don't come out and say, hey, I got erectile dysfunction, but I guarantee you, if you line up 20 black men in the room, 35 and over, at least 15 of them experience some form of erectile dysfunction.
Yep.
And because they experience some form of erectile dysfunction, it's going to be very easy for them to give you this nanotechnology to eradicate it. But now you got the technology in your body. The reason why I'm speaking this way, because I need you guys to understand the way that they're attacking you. You've lost your ability to fuck the way you like to. And it's hurting your psychology. It's hurting you. So then they're telling you, hey, we can fix that. You're gonna be knocking niggas out the way to get to the front of the line and get that nanotechnology.
Yep.
So
Like
let's
you
read
said, you got put in a world where you're not trying to solve the living issue. You're trying to solve the symptoms from the living issue with the quick stuff.
There
So
you go.
you hate your job, you hate your living situation, you hate how much money you make. So therefore, you eat bad to try and make up for it. You sit down and don't exercise and watch TV to make up for it. But then when someone comes out with something that says they'll make it work again so you can get it in, because now you're mad that all that led to you not being able to get it in, you take that real quick and then you take that for about 5 years. You've been going strong, and now that starts causing more problems.
So watch this though. Watch this. A lot of times men are the hardest ones to get. Because see, women, once they see this technology come out and they see that they can heal their children, women are going to be the first ones in line. But y'all got to understand how these people operate, man. They're giving you foods that they know that's fucking with your libido. They know the ego of men. So now once they tell men that we can heal you with this nanotechnology and they heal you where you can go down, please your wife the way you used to when you was 25, now it's easier to get the husband to be okay with the nanotechnology. Because men are the last ones to really surrender and submit. But if a man say, hey, that nanotechnology worked for me, it saved my marriage. It saved my relationship. Understand the psychology of what they're doing, man. So this is why we got to teach in the 360 so you can understand fully what's going on. That's why this is going to be a 2-day stream, because this is kind of long, but we got to teach it this way to get you guys to understand what they're doing and what's coming up. And I know it's boring for a lot of people, so they come in and drop off, because most people, I'm gonna say this for the people that stay and listen, to hear my voice. A lot of times you're gonna see a lot of people crying and whining. Some people you console, some people just let cry and whine. Because some people don't want help. They just want to cry and whine. When you give them explanations or things that you should do, they're not going to listen to you. Some people just going to fall down by the wayside. And that's just the way it's going to have to go. So we teach for those who have an ear to hear and listen. So some of you guys that may be watching, if this is kind of boring, I tell you to leave now. Just go ahead, and go bounce a basketball somewhere in the backyard or something. Go eat your flaming hots and your chili Fritos. But this is for people that really want to get this information.
I know one thing. I'm not the type of person who's into convincing. Because if I convince you in the beginning, I have to keep convincing you to stay. But if we naturally all agree, then that means, it's like the thousand-headed dragon. You cut one off, another one's going to stand up because you cared more about the bottom line, meaning what we were trying to do versus worshiping the personality versus being in it because someone made you feel good. You got to already want the end result. And we connect to kind of help each other out, fill in the details we may not all know. Like I can talk this health stuff all day. It doesn't mean there's nothing in the health sector I don't know about that y'all might have had experiences with that you can feed back to me. And you're going to naturally do it without me convincing you because you want the same bottom line I do. That's how it works.
Right. So let's go. All right. So we now live in a nation where doctors destroy health, lawyers destroy justice, universities destroy knowledge, governments destroy freedom, the press destroys information, religion destroys morals. Well, you see that with the priests, and our banks destroy the economy. Chris Hedges. Transhumanism is inversion is inversion reality to create order out of chaos. Where is down, where is down, black is white, sadness is health, male is female, abnormal.
Them words getting to you. Remember, I was telling you before how they make the words determine how you see them.
Yeah,
Saying up is down, black is white, sickness is health, male is female, abnormal is normal.
yeah. Listen to that though.
Read long enough, you start getting cross-eyed. Like, yo.
But watch this though, like, because it's crazy though. Transhumanism is inversion reality to create order out of chaos, where up is down, everything is backwards. Black is white, sickness is health, male is female. We see all this happening right now.
Yup.
Abnormal is normal.
Remember Bobby Hemmett said all this? He was like,
Yes.
"You want to know the truth?" He was like, "Flip everything upside down, and you got the truth."
Uniformity is unity. So everything you're seeing playing out now is happening. This is, man. It is a reality. It is a reality of perfect, controllable race. The transhumanist movement is not new or out of the box. It has been playing out before our eyes under the deception of politics and Hollywood makeup and glamour for more than a century. Transgender. I hope my homie Riz is in here because we've been talking about this for the last 4 years. So I'm gonna say this before I read this part right here. Some of your favorite actors and people you love are not who they think are. Not. I'm gonna say some stuff that people gonna call pseudo. I don't give a damn. Some people who you think are sexy, sex symbols, or your favorite people are not who you think they are. You are being deceived, and the greatest deception ever known. And some of you don't even realize it. Let's get look, watch this. Transgender actors are now coming out to be recognized as separate from male or female, non-gender, like Caitlyn Jenner. Anyone has a right to reshape themselves and choose a different identity. So you know what I'm gonna do, Marvin, Richie, so am I. What I'm gonna do is when all this stuff clears out and we able to go outside, I'm gonna protest and say I'm a woman, so I can go into the woman's bathroom and just when I come to the gym, I can just shower and stuff with the women. I mean, I'm able to do that though, right?
If you identify and yourself as and you take on such traits.
Yeah, I'm just gonna lie and say, hey, I'm this, and so I can go shower with the chicks. I'm still a man. I still got a piece, so I can go in there with the women, right? I mean, that's where we at with it, right?
That's all it takes. Trans age, transgender. That's all it takes. Well, I really feel like because I feel like
if I got arrested and had to do some time, I can say, well, I think I should just go to prison, a woman's prison. Then I should have a woman. I should have a woman's salary.
This is how I feel, so this is where I should be.
This is how I feel. I feel as though I should have a woman's salary. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't be locked up with men. I should be locked up. I'm a man, born a man, but I should be locked up with women. I mean, can I do that?
I mean, if all it requires is you to feel a certain way, I mean, if reality is shaped by feeling, I mean, I'm not gonna argue with you. Like, I don't argue with them now. I'm like, all right, that's how you feel. Like, I'm not you, and what you're doing doesn't affect me. It's
So
gonna affect any
so
children around.
9 months into my stint, my cellie pregnant. However, what happens when true identity is concealed and used for deception? Uh oh. Uh oh. How many Hollywood actors, mainstream news anchors, supermodels, politicians are disguised behind wigs, false eyelashes, or beards to create the great deception?
Remember when the jeans with the padding came out? You thought the girl had a
Yeah.
fat ass, and you was like, "Oh, damn, she got me."
What deeper meaning rests behind celebrity worship? The golden idols actors give themselves, or the pentagrams they bow down they bow down to on Hollywood Walk of Fame. So they're telling you right now the great deception. I told y'all a year ago and 2 years ago that a lot of these people who you think they are not. But they called me pseudo and said I don't know what I'm talking about. Have people been measuring themselves against the standard of beauty and worth based on illusion? Do New Age teachings go back to Freemasons, back to Babylon and Gnostic teachings? With more questions than answers, it's time to take a look behind the curtain of the medial industrial complex.
You remember what the standard of beauty used to be, right?
White people.
Nah, ancient chemist standard of beauty was symmetry.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you were symmetrical, that it turned into white standard of beauty.
Yeah, well our still standard of beauty is symmetrical.
Yeah, we look for symmetrics.
That was the African way.
Mm-hmm.
The transhumanist post-human agenda is not about the equality of the sexes, since the sexes are meant to merge into an androgynous blob. Under the trans agenda, remember transhumanism, trans agenda, an era of social and ecological inequities are the new standard, where nature is unnecessary and human relationships are replaced by sex bots that cook, clean, converse, or not, and provide the physical needs. How many people right now on social media are seeing these people walk around with sex bots now? These men are fucking, they're buying sex bots.
Yep, you can have them designed the way you want them to look. You like, you know what? Rihanna wouldn't give me the time of day. I'm gonna have one made that look like her.
Yeah, and they're marrying these men are marrying their sex bots. How many people are seeing this stuff?
Yeah, I'll admit I didn't see that one.
Yeah, they're marrying their sex bots. They having sex with them. They have a problem with women. They're saying they're not gay. They're just tired of women because the society is set up for relationships not to work. By not giving man the power that a man was conditioned to have in his mind, raised up to be the lead. They take a man out of the leadership position. So now he says, I'm not being married. I'm getting a passport. I'm going overseas. I'm not marrying these women. I'll just get me a sex bot.
Yep, I ain't got to put up with this shit. I'm gonna just go get me someone anytime I feel like it. I'm gonna deal with it, and anytime I don't feel like dealing with it, I ain't gotta worry about it.
Yeah. What's up, Chaos Rain? What's going on, Don Cato?
Yep, the ability to communicate is being lost.
What if the deeper agenda is to weaken the male energy as protector and see what I just said? What is the agenda is to weaken the male energy as protector and defender, subvert the female essence, and neutralize the divine through technologies such as CRISPR genetically modifies DNA to redesign gender at the level of the human embryo to create an androgyny that cannot reproduce.
GMO people. You already got the food.
Damn.
You already got the food with no seeds in it. That don't reproduce. Terminator seeds. So now you're going to have humans that don't reproduce. Terminator humans. But then these Terminator humans, well, I think we get into that one. I was about to jump the gun a little bit. We're going to get to that one.
The transhumanist agenda offers a radical upgrade of humanity to something smarter, bigger, better. It suggests we are entering a virtual reality without a discussion of morals and spiritual matters, where we can transcend our biological limitations with implants and injections. In this wet dream of a robot or the musing of a madman. What? No, it's too early. Get out of here. Do we extend life, prevent death, or bring the dead back to life, even if life is no longer worth living? That's part of Bloodshot. When he was killed in the new movie Bloodshot, they brought him back to life. As TV and films try to convince us that vampires are sexy, do we leave the light behind because the darkness brings a different type of eternity? Do we accept that the transgender agenda has infiltrated the classrooms to indoctrinate children from kindergarten? In agreeing to a trans agenda, we need to know the consequences of our actions instead of rushing head over the cliff. What are the risks? Where the risks knowable when corporations introduce new technologies that promise to feed the world with genetically modified foods or connect the world through electromagnetic frequencies. Now the GMO foods are not enough to feed the world. The message has shifted to taking shots in the arm to feed the world. For every flu shot given at our pharmacy or the little clinic, we'll donate a meal to feed America. God damn. This is how they
get this shot and we'll send somebody a plate.
But this is how they putting the technology inside of you that you're okay and that you're actually agreeing to.
Man, they can send them kids a hot pocket for all we know.
The negative
sending the hot pocket.
Are the negative health effects of these previous untested technologies the reason humanity needs to preserve itself in new ways? Or are GMO foods and vaccines just part of the agenda to bioengineer humans to prevent procreation? Will babies be made to order or maintain order? Will babies be made to order or maintain order? The transhumanist agenda will declare that humanity will go extinct or permanently destroy itself unless transhumanistic technologies are realized. Are we repeating an extinction that will happen once before in Atlantis? Shouldn't we be asking ourselves, if there is meaning to living, or a perfect life, or dying a natural death because nature and gods are part of the equation? This is the end part of this article.
Right. From the
Rocky Horror Picture Show to the Truman Show, the message is clear. The great divide of humanity is purposeful in the transhumanist agenda. But are the risks of transhumanism clear? Does the original personality remain the same? Does the soul remain intact? Can post-humanism, being with increased life expectancy, intelligence, health, memory cease to exist on a higher level? Are we sacrificing divinity to agree to cloning and to worship androgyny and the god of AI? Now, I said that this guy that people are talking about, this Jesus, Muhammad, and Buddha, is artificial intelligence. It's AI. It's not the God that we internally know. It's not the universal force that we internally know, because these people sought to destroy that. And I'll explain that in a minute. Is policy guidance written by a hidden government enough to forge ahead the brave new world? What happens to peace, love, caring, and cooperation? Those who believe in the trans religion have a right as long as it does not infringe on another's rights. Now, I have a problem with that. It's impossible for you to believe in a trans religion and it not merge or come in contact with nature or humans, or natural humans' rights, because everything about the trans agenda goes against, is diametrically opposed to human laws.
Right.
And those who choose not to, their rights must be preserved too. Informed consent means no deception from the inside out. Freedom for humanity to evolve depends on the voices who speak up against the infiltration by the dark forces. Are you ready? Most of us can't speak against this stuff because we don't know. Roseanne Lindsley is a writer and naturopath. She is a health freedom advocate and the author of 2 books: The Nature of Healing, The Nature of Healing, Heal the Body, Heal the Planet. And her latest book is based on her own story of thyroid disease. Free your voice, heal your thyroid, reverse thyroid disease naturally. So she's telling you to reverse things naturally. They're telling you to get CRISPR, where you won't have thyroid disease no more. But what is the catch with you getting CRISPR and you won't have thyroid disease no more? So now when we read this first article, it already gets off into the bullshit. And it's basically telling you that your new religion and your new God is going to be androgyny. Your new God is going to be AI, artificial intelligence, cloning. So you watch Star Wars and they told you about the Clone Wars.
Yeah,
So
they're reproducing what was once a spiritual definition of God. We used to pray Mother, Father, God, and now what they're doing is producing a physical reanimated digital form of the same. Basically, like you said, they're trying to create this androgynous God for people to worship and take gender out of it, because at the end of the day, back in the past in ancient Kemet, it was a unification of man and woman. When the Caucasian came and took over, they removed the female portion out of everything. So the cross with the circle on it, they removed the circle and stuff like that. So now here we are now where they're trying to ignore the fact that they tore shit up. They're just trying to change it so that people kind of forget and just leave it behind in history. Like there's no admitting that we fucked it all up, basically.
Right. So what? See, the basis of this and what I want people to understand. Let me pull this back up. The basis of this and what I want people to understand is your God, or what they leading you to believe, what they want you to believe. The reason why they're talking about is AI or androgynous, because it's a robot. It's Uniblad. How many of y'all remember Uniblad?
Uniblad.
You remember Uniblad? Just like Uniblad. Where you at, Silvermine? I know Silvermine do. You there, Silvermine? I can't see nobody. Oh, so we the only two one. Did they fall off?
Yeah, they did fall off.
Hold on. Let me see if they're in the back. Hold on for a second, y'all.
Welcome to the world of the transhuman. Y'all gonna be getting to them with genetically modified niggas.
All right, hold on. I don't know what happened to Silvermine.
Yep. I'm like, you're not even gonna know. Genetically modified genetically modified men.
Hold on for a second, y'all. This thing acting goofy.
And if you don't accept them, they're gonna give you that CRISPR technology to change your mind. So
Once this thing share, if somebody fall off, I'm not gonna be able to go back out because I don't trust this thing right now. It's acting stupid, man. Every time we do this thing do this, man. Every single time we start teaching this shit.
Yep.
Let's see what it did. All right, good. It jumped back in.
Yeah, man. If they ain't getting at you, just remember your children are on the line, because your children are being born into it. I remember when they first announced to me, George, they was like, what was it? Like last year or the year before, it was like I was at a graduation photographing, and they was like, this is the first generation that will graduate that doesn't even know that 9/11 existed. And I was like, yo, I'm an old head now.
But watch this. See, this is what I want y'all to understand. God, as they're trying to teach you, what they told you in the 60s is going to be a robot. God is going to be a machine, a mainframe that tells humans, so-called augmented humans, what to do and how to do. Now, how many of y'all seen a movie where, what's the different movies where they go to destroy the mainframe, the mother frame, and they put some type something inside of it to destroy the brain of it. So you watch these shows that come on Netflix. What's the name of that show that came on? Not Alter Carbon, but Alter Carbon is one.
I never finished watching that, but I did. I am familiar with it.
There's another show where everything you're told is controlled by a machine, a robotic machine. I can't remember the name of the show, but what's the matter of fact? What's the name of the movie with Will Smith when he had the augmented hand and he was going down a thing and he had to put iRobot.
Yep.
Well, you're transhumanist and everything is going to be your Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, all these different guys is the machine. The machine. Because the spiritual essence of God don't need a name. It don't need time. It don't need a conscious or a subconscious mind. It need a spirit exists because we exist. So they can recreate conscious. They can even take your consciousness and upload it into these machines, but not spirit. That's why there's a difference between man and machine, because man has spirit.
Yep.
And spirit don't care about your religious beliefs or background. It's all connected to the source. And they trying to outdo the source. They trying to recreate the source. This is what they're trying to do. So the transhuman revolution, what is it, and how to prepare for its arrival?
You want me to take this one?
Yep, you got it.
All right. What would it be like to live through our own species evolution, the biological process of natural selection, and give rise to every species on Earth takes hundreds of generations to turn one species into another? But what if that process could be skipped entirely? What would it be like to significantly upgrade humanity in a matter of decades or even a few years? Welcome to transhumanism, the movement determined to use breakthrough technologies to make humanity into something more. What is transhuman? The idea of altering or augmenting the human body through technology is as old as humanity itself. From the moment humans first fashioned tools and learned to harness fire, humanity stepped beyond its biological constraints. Where evolution gave wolves a fierce set of teeth and the cheetahs unmatched speeds, evolution gave humanity the most sophisticated intelligence of any animal on the planet, and humans have been using that intelligence to overcome their biological deficits. Transhumanism talks about taking this dynamic and using it to not just impact the world around us, but to augment or even replace our biology with technology. Whereas humanity has fixed poor eyesight with corrective lenses, straightened a person's teeth with braces, or countless other examples of human altering our bodies or senses through technology. This transhumanist wants to replace the eye entirely or hijack existing senses in our body to detect any number of things that our bodies aren't built to sense. I mean, if they can prove that. A human then is someone who has taken this step and upgraded their body in a way that doesn't just fix a deficit to behave as commonly expected, but replaces something that works perfectly fine in order to do something more than is biologically possible.
Yeah, hold on, where you at?
Jump higher, think faster. It's a square that says it's like a video square, and I'm right below it. Look like you got different advertisements on yours.
Yeah, you at transhuman. You at where the video is being played, right?
Yeah, it's right below it. A transhuman then is someone.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I just read that part.
And we
All
go
right,
down.
so
I want to play the video when we get to the brains, the neuroplasticity.
so
Okay.
neuroplasticity is where we're at right now. Read it first, and then you play.
Yeah, we gonna go right into it.
Okay. Transhumanism is possible because of something known as neuroplasticity, the capacity for the neurons or the nerves in our brain to make new connections and reconfigure its network in response to new stimuli, information, trauma, or dysfunction. Examples include learning new skills, remembering information, people, or events, making complex movements with our bodies without consciously thinking about it, and taking a cacophony of stimuli around us and making sense of it all. It's how we go through life with part of our vision being obstructed by our nose, though we simply don't notice it. According to the late Paul Bach Irida, we see that our brains, not our eyes, a neuroscience, we see with our brains, not our eyes. A neuroscientist at the University of Wisconsin at Madison and the co founder of WeCab, a company that develops technology based on his research. Bach Irida has shown that in many ways our senses are interchangeable. This pioneering research into blindness has even led to the development of a device that can allow someone to see with their tongue. So we know, Jim, remember you were mentioning earlier, George, that me, you, and Jim talk about this a lot when we're in the gym. And that's the fact that this is where we get into the whole, when you see Neo at the end of Matrix One, when he wakes back up, he's dead to basically the system, and now he can see things for what they are. So he sees everything in code. Whenever you use your senses, whether you touch, hear, taste, feel, whatever it is, it's electronic coding. You feeling it as a vibration touching something. So your ears, your eyes, your nose, your mouth all have bone, liquid, and hair. Either the bone vibrates, the liquid shakes, or the hair vibrates or shakes. And they all are forms of frequency that create an electrical signal that go through a nerve channel. So in the eyes, it's the optic nerves. And you got the nerves on your skin and the internal nerves. So whenever you have a sense, it's picking up a vibration. The vibration is a type of frequency or friction or electrical signal that goes through a nerve channel as light, and the brain received in the brain and is decoded by the brain. Now, eyes are weird because eyes actually receive the picture upside down and the brain flips it right side up. And they've duplicated that in cameras. Like if you take your lens off your camera and you look through it, you're actually seeing the image upside down. And then when you snap it, it flips it right side up. So there's a communication there between electronically. It's not what you're physically seeing, what you're physically touching, hearing, and all that stuff is not real. It's electrical signals being brought together in your brain and being decoded to present that to you.
So you're saying that this reality is not real; it's projected. It's a projected.
It's a projected reality. So
It's
it's
so
like if you're looking at, remember that last article, right? Do you switch your screens? Can you like click on the last article you had, the very big beginning picture of it, or do you have to actually take this down and bring it back up?
I gotta just switch over to it.
Okay, don't worry about doing that then. But if you,
So right here, right?
that, yeah, we can't see it on your page because you might be sharing only that new one. There you go. See that part, that code in the back?
Yeah.
It's almost as if that's what your brain is. That's what a computer picks up. Your brain is picking up electrical signals that can be read, kind of like how that's being seen. And when the code is decoded in your brain, it can present it as a picture.
That's right. It's telling. The brain is telling you what it is. So your eyes is visualizing what the brain is telling you what it is.
Exactly. So like when you, for instance, the color spectrum, when you're seeing red is actually the color being reflected and not absorbed. That's why you can see it. If you see green is being reflected, not absorbed. So actually, when you're taking in the green plints, you're taking in color spectrums, including everything except green.
Let me say this real quick. For the people that's watching, the reason why we do these type of streams because it's important, right? Some, especially for men that are protectors, directors, and correctors. We used to be at the forefront of science at one point. Our people around the world, ancient and damn near in the 30s and 40s, we invented every damn near everything. Y'all seen, those of you guys that follow me have seen my videos and I did it on African American inventors. We understood this. See, the more and more we're well read and understand this technology and what they're doing, we have better ways of fighting and to keep them from. We have a better way of fighting and understanding and to keep them from doing these things to us. The reason why they keep us in fear because we have no knowledge of this stuff. That's why I said I speak to the spirit of people. I'm not speaking to your mind or your subconscious mind, because your conscious mind wants to watch big booty shaking girls, and your conscious mind wants to drink and go get some coochie, and it wants to download that into your subconscious mind. So that's all you think about. When I speak to your spirit wants to get this, because as a man, you want to lead, you want to be able to take care of your family, you want to have this knowledge, you want to have ways to combat and fight it. You want to be like Reese on Terminator. You want to have the knowledge. You want to know what's going on. You want to, with this rise of the machines and all the things that's going on. So as we read this stuff about the electrical signals in your brain and what it's telling you, as men and women, we should have high frequency vibration of knowing what this stuff is. So when for years I've been telling you guys, this is not a real reality. It's a projected reality that we create out of our imaginations and minds.
Yep. Connect this information that you're learning to your children while they're young. So when your children like video games, ask them, what if you had to make your own video game, what would you make? I would do this, that, and the third. Do you know how they made this video game? This happens in your body. In a computer, it's the same thing. Your body picks up an electrical signal that looks like code. Your brain decodes it, presents it back as a picture. Here, you show your kid, I'm typing in code on the computer. When I actually put this code up on the website, it presents back to me as a picture. I use Photoshop because I know that the coded numbers in Photoshop for the colors, if I plug those numbers into my website code, it'll give me those colors.
So let me ask you, Marvin, as we continue to read on, we got about an hour left. Um, as we read on, are we basically just a code ourselves?
We are codes. Like the physical body is like we're not talking about spirit, right? We're talking about the physical body.
Yes.
It is the physical code that allows things to be manipulated and manifest physically.
With the spirit of life breathed into.
Right. The spirit is the thing that science keep trying to chase, but they'll never find it, because every time they keep looking for the smallest thing, they're going to keep finding it. That's God. That's potential. So if man conceives of it being in existence, meaning this might not be the smallest thing ever, they're trying to find another small thing and they find it.
This is the argument that science is trying to replicate, but they've only been able to, they only got to the point of trying to replicate consciousness. But that's why they say cloning. That's why they say cloning can be dangerous, because you're cloning something with consciousness, but it doesn't have that spirit in it. It didn't come from that womb. It doesn't have that natural. It's something that is a redo of something. You don't know what the fuck you just made.
You know what's so tricky about the as above, so below? Those of you who know about the double slit experiment, meaning when humans have their consciousness set on something, it collapses from wave to particle. That's what they say, right? This is the issue with the Almighty versus us. Every time we look for something smaller, we're going to find it. Every time we look for something bigger, we're going to find it. The great divide is what the essence of God is. It's constant potential. If you believe it exists, it will, which means the wave will always become a new particle. So if you understand as above, so below, you don't have to keep going smaller and doing the stuff they're doing, because you'll already know what I am is everything below and above.
Right. And
so if I understand me, I already understand all. I just have to understand me to know how to use it to get the desired result.
And they're trying to use their science to basically trump that and create something new. Let's move forward so we can get as much through as we can.
Okay.
Hey, Jam Can.
Where are we at? Examples including new skills. Is that where we are?
I don't know.
Oh, neuroplasticity. I don't think we started that yet, right? Transhumanism is possible because of something known as neuroplasticity. The capacity for.
We did that.
Did read that one? Okay.
Yeah. Start from. It is invisible light that enters our eye. Matter of fact, no. Start from the key is understanding what sight and hearing touches.
Yeah, that's. I think we might. Yeah, that's where we are.
Okay, yeah.
The key is understanding what sight or hearing or touching or smelling or any other sense actually is. Converting external stimuli to electrical signals that the brain then processes into our sensory perception of the world around us. So electronics become visuals. Since the electric signals traveling through our nervous system are no different from one to another, they differ only in how the brain processes them. This leaves the door wide open for our existing sensors to be repurposed through technology. If the visible light that enters our eye and turns on the rods and cones of our retina are essentially turned into a 0 or a 1 being tapped out onto our optical nerve, with what is stopping us from creating an artificial eye that allows us to see a wider spectrum that includes infrared or ultraviolet light. For those of you who are not familiar with binary code or the 0 and 1, then you already know that the beginning of computer coding is typing zeros and ones in 8 zeros and ones. It comes in 8s. So you got 8 zeros or 8 ones or a combination of, and those 8 are considered a bit.
Hey, you remember
a bit, a byte, a megabyte, a gigabyte, and so on and so forth.
You remember in the new movie with The Rock and Jason Statham with Idris Elba? Idris Elba is genetically modified, augmented. He can see in infrared.
What was that? Rock, Jason Statham. What was that called? Fast and Furious. Something and someone and someone. What's their
something like that? Yeah, he can see in infrared. He's genetically modified.
Whatever their two names are. I'm forgetting what their two names are.
Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, so yeah, that was binary coding. They were just explaining, like switch on something, switch off something, and combinations. Hobbs and Shaw, that's the movie. Switching things on and off will determine what you get from them. So if I got 8 zeros, then I can make it a zero, a one, and then 6 more zeros, and I have the letter A, or I can have the number one. And then as I combine those together, I can get a number or a letter. You know, 01010101 could be the letter C for all we know. That kind of stuff. So that's how you turn code into stuff that's on computers. All right. If the eye is essentially a video camera for our brain, why not swap out the camera? Thanks to neuroplasticity, the brain may not know what to make of the different signals initially, but it will find a way to interpret them. It will figure out how to see this new wavelength of light as if it were any other light. It's not hard to think of many other examples of this type of sensor swapping, which gives you an idea of why transhumanists are such evangelists for movement. When we get a chance, when we do my stream, what I'll do is I'll find a way to visually, using either a whiteboard or my camera itself, show examples of this stuff from biology to physicality, and we'll break up where you guys get to physically see what goes on in the body versus what happens in the technology, to bring you guys closer to things that you can teach your children that'll give them a leg up when it comes to either being a part of scientific technology if they so choose, or staying away from it by knowing how to countermeasure it, because they have to understand it to counter it. Okay, so I'll be able to give some examples of that. All right, the future of transhumanism is happening now. The idea of cyborgs running around is the stuff of science fiction films from the 1980s, but it is going to become a reality sooner than most people think. Transhumanists are a remarkably diverse group, with do-it-yourself biohackers and the United States Department of Defense being two of the most prominent examples. Remember, we were talking about the Department of Defense earlier, and how far in advance we know they are before anything gets brought to the population. Piercings and tattoos are as old as civilization, but a biohacker is willing to put their body in service of the movement, and not necessarily with medical approval or even assistance. Biohacking can range from something as simple as implanting yourself with an RF tag, or radio frequency tag, I believe, that you can use to open electronic locks when you come to work, to more extreme augments like inserting a tiny magnet under the skin of your finger to detect magnetic fields. Likewise, it's no surprise that armies around the world are eager to lead the way into the new frontier of transhumanism. Generals and war leaders have always sought many means to give their army the upper hand over an opponent. The U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, has come right out and said that humans were the weakest link in defense systems. Some examples of DARPA's research into transhumanist technologies include allowing humans to convert plant matter to glucose, threat detection through optical implantations, and even a way for humans to cling to the surface of a flat wall the way lizards do. They said that because remember when the nukes were becoming the real big deal when it came to war?
Yeah.
Metal Gear, for those of you who play the Metal Gear series, they actually teach you this in Metal Gear 3. And there's another Metal Gear, they talk about it too, but they talk about why you knew that 2 nukes alone could destroy so much shit. Why would you care if you had 15 of them, 18 of them, 20 of them? Who cared? Well, the problem was, they said that human emotion was the thing you couldn't account for. So if one man fired a nuke and you knew if you fired a nuke back, you'd destroy every damn thing, your mentality would stop you from retaliating, which means that person wins. So they created, in the video game, they created the Metal Gear to guarantee a response. So if you fired a nuke, the Metal Gear guaranteed one was coming back. So that neutralized the entire argument. Like, well, damn, so I can't make this guy think anymore, because if I fire one, the Metal Gear is going to fire it right back. There's no guarantee I can keep everything.
Yeah, he's going to respond right away.
Exactly. So that's the human emotion. That's the human error that they're talking about. And of course, there's other little things like how fast can a human make a calculation in terms of percentage to win a battle.
But let's think about that, though. Let's analyze that. Is that human error, or is that the human? Is that the capacity of a human to think to save humanity?
That's what it is.
It's something innate in you.
That's why you brought up iRobot earlier, because he had an issue with the robots because of something that happened in his past. He said, yeah, the car crashed into the water, the little girl was trapped, and so was I. And he said, I was the logical choice for saving. He was like, because the girl had an 11% chance, I had 42%.
So he
was like, a human would have known that the 11% was more than enough to go after her.
Right, and robots as well. So that's why I said they want us to be controlled by Uniblack.
Right.
They want us to be controlled by the our robot lady, or the robot that actually controlled the bodies. And the name of that movie is escaping me. But you guys watched the Jetsons and all these different things where you watch these robots, these big robots, that controlled and told everybody what to do and how to do. So this is where we're coming to, man. The consciousness is going to be downloaded to this mainframe. They're going to control everything. Let's move forward.
Yep. I hear you too, Christopher Johnson. Yeah, they did train soldiers without the threat of casualties. That's where the character Raiden came in, and not Snake Plissken. Remember the old movies, George, that Kurt Russell played in, Escape from New York and all that?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, his name was Snake Plissken. That was the name of the soldier in Metal Gear.
Hey, real quick. Hey, Riz, put your link in the chat room, Riz. Subscribe to my brother, Riz Marate, man. He got some good stuff going on over here on his channel. Riz, put your link in the chat so people can subscribe to you while they're here. Put your link in the chat. Go ahead, Marvin.
All right. Sharing
this one and the next one before we come back tomorrow with the rest.
Okay. Sharing your brain with an artificial intelligence. As computer technologies alongside biotechnologies, there is a growing convergence between the two in the form of neural interfaces, and that in the future can open the door to linking your mind directly to an artificial intelligence in order to facilitate greater learning, overcome neurological conditions, or just to use the internet. So they're using the word neurological for you guys constantly. So you already know that's dealing with nerves, which is the pipeline to which your body can send signals for the body to perform actions. So they're going to use their neurons, neurology, neuroplasticity. It's all nerves, which is wiring in you that moves signals that tells your body what to do. In the coming decades, as more advanced computer technologies continue to shrink in size, it's not out of the question that brain implants linked to an AI might be possible. In fact, DARPA has already started research on these lines. I mean, Elon Musk, anybody, if you guys are keeping up out there?
But they talking about brain implants. Let's play the video.
Okay. Mysteries of the brain.
Imagine moving a mechanical arm by just thinking about it, or playing a video game using only your mind. Although it may seem like science fiction, scientists and engineers have been developing this technology for decades. It's called brain-computer interface, or BCI.
The field of brain-computer interfaces relies on the ability of the brain to be able to generate certain types of responses that can then be harnessed by computers, to be able to be interpreted by computers.
Dr. Rajesh Rao is a neuroengineer and director of the Center for Sensory Motor Neural Engineering at the University of Washington, and is funded by the National Science Foundation.
See the Terminator hand?
Developing safe, non-invasive devices that can connect to the brain to accomplish things
RoboCop,
like controlling a prosthetic arm or sending commands to a computer.
Looking at the development of this whole field of brain-computer interfaces, is to think of it in terms of studying how the brain controls the body.
Whether it's telling the legs to jump in the air or activating glands to produce sweat, the body's actions and functions are controlled by neurons. They communicate information to and from the brain and the rest of the nervous system.
Y'all see that light moving?
Chemical and electrical signals.
And so they're sending these electrical pulses to each other and eventually to the muscles that are then controlling my body.
Much like how the brain controls muscles, researchers can use new technologies to tap into these signals to control machines.
The understanding of how the brain controls movement led to the development of devices and algorithms that can be implemented on a computer that recognize these patterns in the activity of brain cells and then correspondingly move an artificial device.
To demonstrate how this technology works, Rao and his team of students use a BCI that allows them to study nonverbal communication. First, the student is fitted with an electroencephalogram, or EEG cap, which is a series of electrodes placed on the scalp to record brain signals. When a question appears on the monitor, the student answers yes or no by looking at one of the flashing lights, which are blinking at different frequencies. When the subject's eyes focus on one of the response lights, the frequency of that specific light is picked up by the visual cortex in the brain and measured by the EEG cap. 12 hertz represents a yes frequency, while a no is at a frequency of 13 hertz.
Now you can see it peaked right around 12 hertz, because no is for 12 hertz.
The computer interprets the signal and moves the cursor in the direction of the response. Using an EEG cap isn't the only way to measure brain activity. Some BCIs use a method called electrocorticography. It also records brain activity, but unlike the EEG cap, it is surgically placed directly on the surface of the brain, providing a clearer signal and more precise information.
For example, they can imagine moving their hand, and we use the computer to extract the patterns that correspond to imagined movement of the hand, compared to, for example, not imagining and just resting.
From there, the computer can distinguish the two types of brain activity: imagining movement and not imagining movement. Then use that information to enable hand control by mental activity.
Given the right kinds of information and the right kinds of devices that are useful for the animal or for the human, the brain can start to adapt.
With practice, the brain can learn to do something it's never done before, like control a prosthetic it's not familiar with. But the key is to understand how these neural networks communicate between the brain and the body.
So if you're able to understand the brain better, then you're also able to build better brain-computer interfaces, because then they can use those signals that are responsible for different kinds of movements.
As Rao continues to...
Hold on a second. Marvin got booted out. Let me bring him back real quick. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Damn, you ain't come back up yet, Marv? Hold on, Marvin got booted out. Where you at? Well, these things, man, be acting crazy, man, when you on here really going in on this information. Like a lot of this stuff, hold on a second, let me see where he at. Get him back up here, man, because we got, oh, here you go. You got booted out.
Yeah, that Joe just was like, yeah, something went wrong. Try again.
Man, it's always like this, man.
Yep, that was funny. I've never been booted before. That's funny.
All right, let's do it again, man, because this thing be acting funny. It mess around.
See, as what they were just showing us, there's like a limit of how I feel about certain things, and like for the sake of someone's a quadriplegic, paraplegic, that technology looked great for that. But that all this other extra stuff, you know, men becoming women and living forever and all that shit, that's going too far.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you why I don't like it. I'm gonna break it down. Let's listen to a little bit. Let's listen to the rest of it. And I'm gonna tell you why I don't like it. And I'm gonna tell you what I see them doing. From my perspective.
Collaborate with engineers, neuroscientists, and neurosurgeons to develop more BCI devices. He is working toward a future where the brain and technology come together seamlessly.
Now, for me, when you see them saying you can actually do things like, it's like that, what's they call it, mental telepathy.
Right.
You can make things move. But how many times we seen movies where you had aliens that came from another dimension able to do all that stuff, right? They show you the little green man. He can use his mind to make things fly across the room, or he has the ability to go inside your mind and destroy your brain, fry your brain. Like he has all this ability to do this stuff. They're emulating the fucking robot that they showed you on TV 20 years ago. Not the robot, the aliens. Remember 4th of July? When the alien woke up and the alien went into the brain and the guy was screaming, ah! He was all in his head. Well, they're trying to do this now right in front of your face. They put it in 1996 in the 4th of July movie. Now they telling you, well, you can move stuff around the room. We can augment your brain to make your brain do these so-called supernatural things. And we're looking at it as cutting edge science where they already showed the shit to you.
that's going to be see, that's getting into a deeper conversation. We might have to do a stream alone to just talk that shit on that one, because
Yeah.
the ability to, it's one thing to create interfaces to match up with one another. Like, let's say they map the brain and they map magnetic frequencies into the brain. They would have to teach you to cognitively, because it can't just, now remember, you have to be able to control it. It can't just auto cognitively lock onto a brain and do something. You have to be able to cognitively control your frequency, the persons you're trying to lock into, and then control it, which means they would have to put weapon technology into that person's brain, and it has to be able to figure out the frequency of any random human being. Is that possible? Yes. At the level they're showing this, no.
Right. So, but just think about it, right? We have never seen any aliens before, so we say. Now, we may look up in the sky, see something, but let me put it in its proper perspective. We watch cartoons and movies where they depicted aliens being able to do all these things that man is attempting to do, right?
But
Now,
the
some will
aliens
say,
tend to be biologically smart.
yeah. Some will say that we got our information from aliens,
Right.
but that's still speculation. What I'm saying is, with this transhumanistic, post-humanism technology, right in front of your face, they're emulating what they showed you the aliens did. They're doing it right now, but because we don't think of things in 360, you go watch a movie and then you don't correlate the things together. I do. So I seen a little green man put his hand in the peace sign and some shit. Everything just start floating in the air.
Yep.
Like, what the fuck, man?
See, biologically, I believe that we were already, when I study the brain and I study the capability of the human brain, it's what we like to call evolution is nothing more than a gain of information. Like, the body does not, the only way the body can have the ability to do something it never did before is if neurons connect correctly, and that allows you to unlock a purpose. So we like to call it evolution because we think our body added something that it didn't have. It didn't add anything it didn't have. It drew new connections, which is what neuroplasticity is about. Originally, in nature, when you meditate on a certain thing, which is why when you're a child, it's very important that people don't instill a certain thing into you. Children have a way of analyzing the environment and being able to copy something. So you could do things like put stuff on movies and stuff and have a kid constantly look at it, and somehow they draw the connections to be able to do something other people couldn't do because they weren't pre-programmed not to. Which is why how we're trains us to stay locked in a certain area of human capability that now, like, again, this is another case where they held us down, made us ignorant, took things away from us, messed with our society, and now they're saying, well, our consciousness is high, but our physical capability is low. Technology is going to take us to where we need to be. When it's their fault in the first place, we didn't involve with the nature and the times.
All right, I got 35 to 40 minutes left. So let's do this. Now we laid all of that out for the first, I don't know how long we've been live. We've been live for a minute, but we laid all of this out, right? And I like for people to think. I like to make you think.
Real quick, we don't use limited percentages of our brain. We use the whole brain within the level of consciousness we have. So when we say the brain can do more, it can't do more if the neurons and the training and the light you've gathered from the environment haven't been lit up to make the connections to do it. But the brain is always 100% working. It just works 100% of what you give it. If I give you a Lexus, you can only do the functions that Lexus have the capabilities and the connections to do. But if I give you a Bentley, you may be able to do a little bit more because that's like a house and a car.
Well, it's kind of like before the so-called Western technology really came into play, they took over. They say, well, the Africans was able to see up into the skies and read the stars and see all the things because they used their natural bodies. They used their natural, they used the aspect of their brains. The Native Americans understood certain things. Now, with all of this so-called bad food and technology, they dumbed you down to using the natural aspect of you where you will be able to exercise different aspects of your brain. They put it over to a corner where now you only operate based off of, you're only able to project the realities based off of what they provide for you.
Right.
It's not limited.
You're not even seeing your full capability because you're putting your attention, right? Your attention on a specific part. But capability is always there up to the extent in which you've been presented that light within the world. So the light we've gathered, what, basketball, football, taking out the trash, cooking, cleaning, going to work, things, we see on everyday life. But there may be things out there. There might be guys who can create fire with their hand. You haven't seen it. You haven't heard it. You haven't experienced it. So the fact that that's possible might be in your head, but you've never had this. Your senses have never taken on the experience of it to be able to do something with it. So the capability is there, but the light necessary to perform the task is not there yet.
Right. So
your tools work. You just gotta know, you gotta have a situation to use them.
Right. So here we go. So now, see this, Dr. G, where they're on CNN and they're talking about black people are dying from the coronavirus at an alarming rate. It's affecting black people, and people are dying in Italy, and people are dying in droves across the world. But how come in this March 4th article from 2020, they never told you about the CRISPR editing of the blind man? They did some CRISPR editing on a blind man. Now, how come they never told y'all this? I have a question for people that's watching. I'm going to put this out. I'm going to read this for you guys. Doctors tried first CRISPR editing in the body for blindness. Scientists say they have used the gene editing tool CRISPR inside someone's body for the first time, a new frontier for efforts to operate on DNA, the chemical code of life. DNA, which God is DNA. God, the number 19, DNA. It tells you, it says what the math says, DNA, which represents the number 19, the chemical code of life to treat diseases. So now they want to manipulate that God frequency inside of you in order to so-called heal the blind. Now, why am I saying this? Why am I saying this, Dr. G? Well, why they got everybody afraid, anxious, hungry, not knowing what's going on with this virus that's man-made, that they put out there to you, right in the back door where nobody's looking? They're pushing gene editing, CRISPR. A patient recently had it done at Casey Eye Institute at Oregon Health and Science University in Portland for an inherited form of blindness. The companies that make the treatment announced Wednesday they would not give details on the patient. Now, I want y'all to listen to the wordplay because they like to play games. So listen to the wordplay because me and Mar, we unpack this kind of stuff. They would not give details on the patient or when the surgery occurred. So now, this article is saying that they did. This article is saying that they did a CRISPR surgery on the blind man, but they're not going to give details of the patient or when it occurred. Right? So that's what I want y'all to stay with me. It may take up to a month to see if it worked to restore vision. If the first few attempts seem safe, doctors plan to test it on 18 children and adults. Now, y'all got that part. And I want y'all to listen. For those of y'all that have the ear to hear, if you don't, get out of here. We literally, listen to this now. Listen to this. We literally have the potential to take people. What does literally mean, Marvin?
Absolutely. We literally. As I write it, I can actually do it.
So we absolutely have the potential to take people who are essentially blind and make them see, said Charles Albright, Chief Scientific Officer at Editas Medical Medicine at Cambridge, Massachusetts-based company.
Editas Medicine. For those of y'all who just happen to be, you like to run around in the stocks a little bit. If you're thinking about trying to make some money off of this whole transhumanism technology that people are kind of dumping into right now, that's one of your companies you're going to look at. All right, keep going, George.
So it says, now, it said up here, it said, we are not going, there will be no details given on the patient or when the surgery occurred. Then you get down here, it says we literally have the potential to take people who are essentially blind and make them see. Now, which one is it? Do you have it or don't you have it? What I'm telling you is they already had this stuff 20 years ago. They just revealing it out to the masses now because they feel like you're ready, but they're spoon feeding you. But in order for them to give it to you in a way that you would accept it, they have to put this coronavirus and other diseases out here. So now some of you are having babies born with cystic fibrosis. Some of these babies are born with autism. Some of them are born with all kinds of different diseases, right? And viruses that these babies are born into the world in. So now they're saying, hey, well, listen, we can heal the blind, but we also can do some other stuff. And I'm going to show you what else they can do. They're telling me they can do. Dr. Jason Commander, an eye surgeon at the Massachusetts Eye and Bar in Boston, another hospital that plans to enroll patients in the study, said it marks a new era in medicine, using a technology that makes editing DNA much easier and much more effective. Doctors first tried in the body gene editing in 2007 for a different inherited disease using a tool called zinc fingers. Many scientists believe CRISPR is a much easier tool for locating and cutting DNA at a specific spot. So interest in the new research is very high, and they just pushed it where it's legal to actually do this. Because we remember when back when Bush was running for president, they was talking about the stem cell shit, and it was illegal. Guess what? They was playing y'all the whole time because they was already doing this shit behind the scenes. So scientists can't treat. Now look, hold on. The people in this study have Liber congenital. What's that word, Marvin? Legal have Liber congenital amaurosis.
Congenital amaurosis. Yeah.
Yeah, Liber congenital amaurosis caused by a gene mutation that keeps the body from making a protein needed to convert light into signals to the brain, which enables sight. They're often born with little vision and can lose can lose even that within a few years. Scientists can't treat it with standard gene therapy, supplying a replacement gene because the one needed is too big to fit inside the disabled viruses.
Yeah, with that that Liber congenital amaurosis caused by gene mutation that keeps the body from making a protein needed to convert light into signals in the brain. Now, they're not mentioning what the protein is, but whether you have rods or cones, you're talking about rhodopsin and photopsin. So the opsin is a major protein in the cascade of light coming into your body. And they have something else called horizontal cells that when light comes into your eyes down the optic tract, that's what allows your body to consistently change from light to dark. So if you're in a dark room, walk into a light room and back into a dark room and the sun goes up and down, you turn a corner and walk in the shade. Every time there's a transition from light to dark, the horizontal cells take care of that. And there's a lot of different opsins and pigments. So when you hear photopsin, there's a photopigment. When you hear rhodopsin, there is a retinol pigment. Retinols are in what, George? What's retinol in?
We said again, what's retinol in?
Yep.
I don't know. What is it in?
Orange color.
Oh shit! I'm tripping. I'm
Carrots,
so yeah.
turmeric.
I'm with you now. My bad. My bad.
So when you hear retinopsin or retinols or rhodopsin, when you hear things like that, the opsin gets so from the front to the back, things break down. That's what entropy is, and we like to call it chaos. But your body performs entropy, which is what they like to call chaos. They think chaos is shit is everywhere and we don't know what's going on. But that chaos is how the world works. You take big things, break them down into small. If you want a quick example, don't you do that with food? You eat it, you chew it, goes into the stomach, acids and stuff break it down, goes into the small intestine, bacteria and stuff break that down. That turns into vitamins, minerals, it extracts all kinds of stuff. Your body pulls it in, it turns into a vapor. You burn the vapor. Vapor is energy. The exhaust is let out called carbon dioxide.
Right. So let's go here. It says so they're aiming to edit or delete the mutation by making two cuts on either side of it. The hope is that the hope is that the ends of DNA will reconnect and allow the gene to work as it should. So they want to go in now and edit your DNA in order to cut it on both sides and let it reconnect and make this thing work, make the light fire off the way it should so that you can see. It's done in an hour-long surgery under general anesthesia through a tube the width of a hair. Doctors drip 3 drops of fluid containing a gene editing machinery just beneath the retina, the lining at the back of the eye that contains the light sensing cell. Once the cell is edited, it's permanent, and that cell will resist, hopefully, for the life of the patient, because these cells don't divide, said the study leader not involved in the first case, Dr. Eric Price of Massachusetts Ear and Eye.
That's a big deal. When it says cells don't divide, that's like just saying GMO. Because we know all cells perform mitosis, is what they call it. One becomes two. The old one gets broken down, and the body finds a way to either use the broken down materials to do something else, or it dumps it, turns into uric acid or feces. It becomes
you know what I noticed? You know what I noticed too? When I'm going off, right, the numbers go up. Whenever I stop and really get into teaching, I noticed this, right? Listen, I ain't complaining. I want people to recognize this. When I've been doing this for a couple years now, right? Now, this one was at 75 people and it went down to 59 fast, right?
Right.
But I'm gonna show you. But whenever I start talking about these universities and what they're doing inside the hospitals, and I'm reporting this stuff, the numbers go down quick. And I don't think that I think that's YouTube doing that. Because what I'm saying is, you're not going to turn on CSNBC or NBC or NBC or ABC or CNN and see them talking about this, right? So now I go and dig and find it, and I bring it to the people. How the numbers go down like that?
They want to see that drama. Drama is emotion, and people.
We're actually talking about something that's going on right now during the time of the coronavirus, and they're not talking about it at all. You can't turn on CNN and see this. Look, one of the biggest potential risks for gene editing is that CRISPR could make unintended changes in other genes. This is why it's considered illegal, because they don't know what might happen. So now they're working in the blind. Well, they already did this. They already know what the outcome is, but this is just what they tell us.
Yaya asked, is artificial DNA such a word? Yeah, it is, because DNA is made up of, you got to look at what DNA is made up of. It's made up of what they call nucleotides, sugars, and phosphorus, or a combination of the three. So that's what viruses are made of. The coronavirus, the part that attaches to you, is a sugar protein. It's a sugar lipid protein. So when it attaches, your body is made up of phospholipid bilayer, so phosphorus and fat, and that's made up of sugar, phosphorus, and fat. So it can bind and create a channel that goes into your body. The key is you got to have a defense that catches it before it even goes in. So yeah, if it's made up of standard materials that can be found in nature, you can build artificial DNA. How do you get to do what you want it to do? Because in DNA, we call it, computer code or whatever. We were talking about it earlier. But in the brain, nucleotides have 4 letters, A, T, C, and G. Those A, T, C, and G are converted to proteins, and proteins are made of what? Amino acids. Where do you get amino acids from? The food you eat.
So look at this. So watch this, right? And this is where people missed it. The gene editing. But companies have done a lot to minimize that and to ensure that the treatment cuts only where it's intended to. How you know that? What doctors you have in there telling you that? You're at the mercy of whatever they tell you. He has consulted from Edis and helped test a gene therapy, Lux Turner, that's sold for different types of inherited blindness. Some independent experts were optimistic about the new study. The gene editing approach is really exciting. We need technology that will be able to deal with problems like these large genes, said Dr. Gene Bennett, University of Pennsylvania researcher who helped test Lux Turner at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. So they just did a gene editing thing right here in Philadelphia last month also. Right up under everybody's nose. Dr. Kyron, whatever that name is, another gene editing expert at the University of Pennsylvania, said that the treatment seems likely to work based on tests in human tissue of mice and monkeys. Just imagine if you're a mouse or a monkey and shit, and they coming in.
Yep, they'll grip you up and they're gonna inject you with stuff to see if you die.
Time is 1:05. So I want to go here real quick. Let me see which one I want to do. I want to do this.
That CRISPR ain't no joke, man. When I did a study on that to see how that thing really works, it's no joke.
We're gonna do this. Hold on. Which one you want to do, Marvin? You want to do this one right here, where genetically engineered cells fight off deadly mice, or right now, this is an article from last year, or do you want to do that one from 11 years ago that told you, yeah, let's do this one. Let's do this one because this is going to lead us into tomorrow.
Okay.
The nanotech.
Genetically engineered immune cells fight off deadly virus in mice. Researchers may have...
No, not this one. Not that one. Not that one.
Oh, that's the one with the eyes. Okay.
The nanotech. The nanotech from 2009.
Okay, give me a second. Okay, the Immortal 2040 episode.
Yeah. Read this one, but let me lay out the premise real quick. Lay out the premise. This article we read before we end the show, to save some for part 2. This is important. I want y'all to understand it. This is an article from October 1st, 2009, and everything that they're going to talk about in this article is happening right now, and this is the 2040 plan. I have here, before we read off into this, I want y'all to see something. I'm going to go to this other article that I'm going to read tomorrow that I've read before. This is, if y'all can see this, you can see this on the screen, right, Marvin? This here?
Yep.
This is the 2030 plan. Transhumanism and the future of humanity. 7 ways the world will change by 2030. And I'm going to get off into that tomorrow. So I want to go back over here because I want people to see this. Nanotech could make humans immortal by 2040. So this is the 2040 plan, futurists say. And as Marvin read this, I may cut in a little bit because I got about 25 minutes left. I may cut into this a little bit where you guys can get a grasp and understand. I want to put things back into your memory so you can see just what they're doing. So go ahead, Marvin.
Ray Kurzweil says nanobots will soon wipe out cancer, backup memories, and slow aging.
Real quick. Nanobots will soon wipe out cancer, backup memories, and slow aging. Right now, people are dying from cancer. People are dying from many debilitating diseases. People are dying from viruses. We're getting into nanotech and what they're doing right now, but they're not telling you because they want you to be afraid. So now when they come next year, when CNN's, MSNBC, all you want to see is nanotechnology and gene editing. It's going to be, once they just totally legalize it, it's going to be everywhere. Because now they're going to bring you out of the fear and say, don't have no fear. Nanotechnology is here. I know that you lost your father. I know that you lost your brother. I know that you lost your wife. But we can make sure you lose no more family members with the new technology of nanotech. Nanotech will make sure that none of your children will ever be born with debilitating diseases. They got you. Because they got you afraid. Because you no longer believe in your Muhammad, Jesus, and Buddha. You believe in artificial intelligence. Because whatever the corrupt news network tell you, you believe it. Go ahead, Marvin.
Said, Riz asked, how do you test a mouse or a rat and then compare it to human biology? It's the way that the biochemistry is made up. They're smaller, but the biochemistry is pretty much the same, which means if you do something like, let's say with 5G, if you hit a rat or a mouse with a certain amount of radiation and it kills them, that means with humans, all you have to do is ramp up the amount of radiation and you get the same effect. So that's why they do the test that way. In 30 or 40 years, we have microscopic machines traveling through our bodies, repairing damaged cells and organs, effectively wiping out diseases. The nanotechnology will also be used to back up our memories and personalities.
Now you hear that, right? The nanotechnology will also be used to back up our memories and personalities. So now the government is going to control the way you think and how you deal with adversity. The government is going to control how, whenever they put something out that you don't like, they can just alter your brain and make you like it.
Yep.
How y'all like them apples? Go ahead, brother.
In an interview with Computer World, author and futurist Ray Kurzweil said that anyone alive come 2040 or 2050 could be close to immortal. The quickening advance of nanotechnology means that the human condition will shift into more of a collaboration of man and machine. As nanobots flow through human bloodstreams and eventually even replace biological blood, damn, that's pretty big right there.
Yeah,
If you replace biological blood, our entire body is made up of blood, like the beginning of anything. Bone is stored blood. So blood in a crystal stored form is bone. So you can't say we come from bone first. We come from blood first. So that's crazy. All right, where we? Yeah, yep. This may sound like something out of a sci-fi movie, but Kurzweil, a member of the Inventors Hall of Fame and recipient of the National Medal of Technology, says that research well underway today, and this is in 2009, is leading to a time when a combination of nanotechnology and biotechnology will wipe out cancer, Alzheimer's disease, obesity, and diabetes.
and this is 11 years
Obesity.
ago, y'all.
They're gonna help y'all wipe out obesity with nanotech. That's gonna be interesting. It'll also be a time when humans will augment their natural cognitive powers and add years to their lives. It's radical life extension. The full realization of nanobots will basically eliminate biological disease and aging. I think we'll see widespread use in 20 years of nanotech devices that perform certain functions for us. In 30 or 40 years, we'll overcome the disease and aging. The nanobots will scout out organs and cells that need repairs and simply fix them. It will lead to profound extensions of our health and longevity. And those studies of the brain y'all saw in the earlier studies we were looking at is why it'll be possible. Because we know that Elon Musk left off with trying to map the brain. Once you map the brain, you can pick up a person's electromagnetic field from the brain. And that electromagnetic field is the frequency that holds their body together. So it's the blueprint. So once you have the blueprint, you just train the nanobots to know the blueprint. And if something's out of whack, you use the blueprint to build it back up. All right. We will, all right, the nanobots will scout out organs and cells that need repairs and simply fix them. It will lead to profound extensions of our health and longevity. Of course, people will be struck by lightning or hit by a bus, but much more trauma will be repairable. If nanobots swim in or even replace biological blood, then wounds could be healed almost instantly. Literally,
Wait. Let's look at that. How many
Mhm.
times you saw movies or X-Men or stuff like that where you saw these people get hurt and then the wound heals up on its own? So
Yep.
they put this stuff already in movies and they
Shoot,
tell
the last Terminator released had it. He was liquid and he was like a liquid and a metal, like a smart metal. He was like nanobites and liquid.
uh-huh.
So if you punched him and he came apart, he could like you punch through him. Then the liquid and the nanobots would just restructure around your arm and move around it and stuff like that. Yeah, it was crazy, man. All right, where were we at? If nanobots swim, yeah, backed up memories and personalities can be accessed after a head trauma. Today, researchers at MIT already are using nanoparticles to deliver killer genes that battle late stage cancer. It's killer genes. The university reported that just last month, the nano based treatment killed ovarian cancer, which is considered to be one of the most deadly cancers in mice.
So let me ask you a question. So this is an article from 2011, right? 2009, excuse me. And it used nanotechnology to kill ovarian cancer, right? How
Mhm.
come? How come this type of talk ain't talked about on Black YouTube or just across period? How come they're not talking about this? If they use this technology to kill cancer, why are they scaring the world to this day still with viruses? What's
Yep.
the agenda? What are they doing? What are they holding back on?
They're buying time to have full control. So to keep you distracted, to allow them to perfect their technology, so that the day you become, if they hold you back from becoming wise enough, then one day you're going to say, no, it's not this, it's that. And they're going to say, no, it's this. And they're going to physically do it. While you're stuck there just saying what should be done, they're going to physically be doing the thing they want to do. So you need to be physically doing the thing you want to do. If you want nature to persist, then you need to use the ground, grow your food. You need to be out in the sun. You need to have your feet on the ground. You need to have some communication with nature to show that you're a stand up person when you're with nature. To say nature can do something is one thing, to be out there doing it, meaning, oh, I came in contact with coronavirus. No biggie. You know, I'm asymptomatic. Doctors check me all day. I don't let them touch me with nothing. Watch me get over this thing. You got to be bold in your own knowledge, and you got to be willing to understand the consequences. Their technology has consequences. Getting all this crap ejected and tried is going to have fails and stuff like that going on. So the human body is no different in nature. We live in nature that they have tainted. They've torn up the soil. They're messing with the air. We got genetics being messed with. Everything's being messed with. So there's a ratio of error to everything. When you better understand it, you don't, like, think about it. When you walk out the house, there's a percentage that something bad is going to happen to you that could kill you or hurt you. The virus has the same thing. Your understanding of it is what makes you continue life. Why should this virus be any different? Because you don't have the physical capability to feel like you have control over it. And until you feel like you have it, you're not going to do it. See, car accidents, you feel like you have some control over. I'm a good driver. I don't worry about what people around me will do. I respond accordingly to keep myself alive. Does that stop a truck that you're sitting next to in a traffic jam from just tipping over and falling on you? No, but you don't sit around wondering about it. You just say, look, I can control my destiny to an extent. So it should be the same thing with everything else. And leave things alone that you don't feel like you can control. You know, I admit when I say they got an edge over me over there, I don't feel like they have an edge with vaccines. So I only defend myself against vaccines because I feel like the side effects are worse than me not getting it. And they're like, well, you could possibly die. I mean, to me, it's better to die than to live sick. That's me. That's not everybody's point of view. I don't want to be living sick. I don't want to live with the sickness.
Right.
How to live with AIDS, how to live with diabetes. I don't want to.
Let's run a quick 7 minutes through as much as we can get through real quick.
This the same article?
Yeah, if you go down earlier this year. You want me to go?
I got you. And
Okay.
earlier this year, scientists at the University of London reported using nanotechnology to blast cancer cells in mice with tumor-busting genes. Sound like a video game. Giving new hope to patients with inoperable tumors. So far, tests have shown that the new technique leaves healthy cells undamaged. With this kind, leaves healthy cells undamaged.
Hey, explain to the people in science technology how 11 years, how we look at 11 years is not that long, but in science advancements, 11 years is a lifetime, right?
Right, because the mathematical formula that they learned years ago is it takes half the time to double your progress. So you for a simple example, you use humans. If it takes 10 years for us to go from 1 human to 100, it will take 5 years to go from 100 to 200. And then 2.5 years to go from 200 to, what would it be, 400. So it's always half the time to do full advance. So if you think the technology is crazy now, then you only need like half the time that it took us to get here to see it go even crazier.
So look. All right, keep going down till you get to the 2024. Watch out, because remember, we in 2020 now, right?
Right.
They did this in 2009. So look, keep reading. Watch this, y'all.
You said go straight to the 2024.
No. Just go. Keep reading down till you get to it.
Okay. So far, tests have shown that new technique leaves healthy cells undamaged. With this kind of work going on now, Kurzweil says that by 2024, we'll be adding a year to our life expectancy with every year that passes. The sense of time will be running in and not running out, he added. Within 15 years, we'll reverse the loss of remaining life expectancy. We will be adding more time than is going by. You know what's funny? I learned 3 years ago, I pulled an article where they said we're working on nanoglutathione, which is supposed to be approved in 2024. Glutathione is literally, it's damn near the height of your antioxidant system, which is something that solves the problem with things like 5G and oxidization that happens from invaders tearing your body down. Glutathione is like a front runner. It's right next to selenium. You need selenium and the amino acid cysteine to make glutathione. So nanoglutathione is the ability to neutralize free radicals, and those are things that kind of go around rusting and busting your body up.
Yeah. So what I want to do, I'll read this last part, and then I gotta go. It's time to pick up the wife. And we're gonna come back with a part 2, but I'm gonna add this in. What's important for you guys to understand? This article was written in 2009. It's 2024. They're saying that they're going to be adding years to your life expectancy every year that passes. Within 15 years, we will reverse the loss. We will reverse this loss of remaining life expectancy. Now, I want you guys to understand something. Again, this article is from 2009. Everything else we've been reading has been updated has been up to this time. So right now they have a virus out here. They say that's killing everybody. But behind in the back door, what they wasn't showing you was they was preparing this the whole time. But it was illegal because they don't know, they didn't understand. Once they cut edit gene editing, they didn't know that it, in the future will it mess up other genes. So once they started to figure out how they can actually try to control it somewhat, now they're going to unleash it to you. But in order to unleash it and make it legal, they got to create fear in your minds by creating these other viruses out here to make you voluntarily. Remember when we first started? They will make you call for it, volunteer for it. Legislation will be passed because you will vote for it because of what they're doing. They control your mind. They control you. So they say, "Oh, this is a conspiracy theorist." Well, I challenge anybody to tell me that I'm conspiracy when I'm only reporting what they're reporting. They don't hide nothing from. Well, they hide everything in plain sight. It's up to you to go get the information and teach it to the people because it's right here. I'm not making up nothing. Nothing that I've said has been basically in my own words. It's basically what they're saying. It says Kurzweil also maintains that adding microscopic machines to our bodies won't make us any less human than we are today or over 500 years ago. The definition of human is that we are the species that go beyond our limitations to change who we are, he said. If that wasn't the case, you and I wouldn't be around because at one point life expectancy was only 23. But this is coming from white people and their science and their how do he know life expectancy was only 23? Who controls that narrative for you to believe that? These are the same people that talk about.
The question is, who the hell is he talking about?
Right. These are the same people that talk about population control. So what we're going to do, we're going to end this right here because we almost up at 3 hours. And I actually wanted to be at 2. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen. We're going to end it here. We got a part 2. We got a part 2 coming tomorrow. So we'll actually get back in the lab. We'll add some more stuff to it. And then we'll do a part 2. And then I'll sit back and talk with Marvin. Well, maybe Friday we can do the health show. Marvin can come on because Marvin did a crazy presentation 2 months ago, y'all, with Minister Inky here in Philly, man. And I actually want to get a day where he's not busy, where he can come on and give you guys like a 2-hour presentation and just go in on it, man, where you guys can get really to understand who Brother Marvin is and what it is that he does. So, because over here we're trying to build a network over here. So when George making this live, you see my gang. It's only us 2 right now. The other 2 brothers dropped off, but we want to get all 4 of our channels jumping at the same time and create a network. So when people see us, that we all bring something different to the table. And Marvin is good with the health and saying them big words that I can't pronounce. He know how to say all those big words. Yep. I always keep people around me that's smarter than me. That's how you move. That's how you move ahead. Fuck the ego. So all right, so look for part 2 tomorrow. Marvin, you want to say something before we close this out, before I get out of here?
Yeah. As always, stay in tune with nature. If you guys are, I know a lot of people Georgia with are in different time zones. So, if you can, between the hours of about 11:30 and about 2 o'clock, at least up here in the northern areas of United States of America, try and get out, get you some sun, get you some fresh air, find a local park under some trees and just do some deep breathing. Think about the future, think about the life that you want to have and the way you want things to be for your family and stuff in the future. A lot of it will calm you down and all kinds of stuff. So, do what you guys got to do. There you go. Yeah, make you some juice.
Thanks for the $10 super chat, Dr. G.
Yep.
Yeah,
make you guys some juice. Every day try and learn a new vegan meal and pass it to a friend, because the only reason people don't eat healthy is because they want the same delicacy that they see that they ate with the other food. They want to turn meat and noodles into pasta. They don't want to just eat meat and just eat noodles. They want to put them both together. So when you're vegan, you don't just want to eat greens in your salad. You want to put things in the salad and things in the food that make you feel like it's an experience like the other food did. So you don't have to eat unhealthy to experience food, because food is what? It's flavor and consistency. You can have your chewy as beef, or you can have your chewy as jackfruit. But the seasonings are all from the ground, so the seasonings are never bad. So yeah, that's my little thing. Stay with nature until next time. I'm gonna let George do his thing. Look at George holding that juice.
You want to get you some,
enjoy enjoy yourself.
get you some of this. Get you some of this. I gave Riz some of this uh, uh, 2 weeks ago at the barbershop. Yeah, and if you go back to the beginning of the video, we break this down. What's in this and what this is about, Dr. G. This is eucalyptus, peppermint, turmeric, cayenne pepper, and cinnamon. Raw cinnamon, cinnamon sticks. Put in there. Stinging nettles. Brought to a boil. I let it sit for 2 hours. I let it steep for 2 hours, and then I take this, which is a juice, ginger, pineapple, and orange, and I pour 1 cup of this inside here, and 1 cup of herbs inside here, then another cup, and then another cup until it fills up, and then I shake it up. When you drink this, you get your chest hair to burn. I'm trying to tell you, this is hot. It's good for inflammation. It's good to get mucus pushed out. If you want to get with your old lady, fellas, because this is gonna get the blood pumped. It's gonna give you, man. It's gonna have your girl running from you. She gonna be, she gonna be waking you up. She gonna be waking you up in the middle of the night trying to get something after you drink this for a couple of days. Anything hot, yeah, get that blood flow, boy. Hey, listen, you drink this, you gonna have your wife preparing this for you. You gonna come in from work or come in, be upset, babe. What the hell is this? Oh, babe, you need to keep drinking. You gonna have your girl
they tossing that dandelion around. Dandelion is a bitter. Use it as your main green in your salad. I would say do that. That's a staple food. It used to be called poke salad.
Yeah, so this is good, and a lot of our women need to be taught back in the arts of making this, especially for your men and your children, because you want to keep your husband safe, especially if he's the breadwinner, or if you're the breadwinner, you want to keep your body safe. So if you go to my channel, I did a video basically breaking down how I did this, and earlier today I talked about this, but this get to me. I'm telling you, I drink this. I wait about yeah, boing. You see me put in the head, boing. I wait about a good hour, then I go do my cardio. I'm talking about mucus come out your nose, your throat, everything come out, man. Because that cayenne pepper in here with the turmeric and the cinnamon, man. Listen, that bad mucus can't live in there.
Yeah, and please, if y'all make the formula George give y'all, do not drink it right before you work out or drink it right after you work out.
Wait about an hour.
But your body's full of acid after you work out, and you're about to work out and build up acid. So don't do these things close to your workout time. Wait 45 minutes to an hour after before you do it for your body to settle the acid that's happened from the workout.
Yeah, and then chuck this down, man, and wait for your old lady to come home.
Don't tell them to chug that. They're gonna have diarrhea. Watch.
No, don't chug. Yeah, I drink about a cup of this, a cup to a half.
Yeah, they're gonna call you back like, George, man, I had mad diarrhea for like 3 days.
Yeah. So I tell you, I'll do this commercial before we go. Is your love life in the tank? The party isn't jumping like you used to. Have you hit the wall? Well, no. well, don't fear. Mixing the herbs will be your bridge over troubled waters. If you just get this concoction and mix this herb, she will love you again, like she did when y'all was 25. It's like, no. Let's get out of here.
All right, y'all.
All right. All right, y'all. We see y'all tomorrow, man. Peace. Oh, man.
We in the back room?
Not yet. We almost there.